Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City.
We are live on a Monday edition of the Sports Bash, 97.3 ESPN, our final show at the Fanatics Sportsbook. You know the football season has come to a close. The Seattle Seahawks are your Super Bowl champions. Welcome aboard, everybody, a Monday edition of the Sports Bash live here at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. A completely dominating performance by the Seahawks as they are now the new Super Bowl champions. The Eagles' reign has come to an end. We'll start to put the pieces together for it after a wild week where we were at Radio Row and obviously had a great week down there. Thanks to everybody who made that happen. Obviously, we had a really fun time. I mean, we had, I don't know, every year we feel like we have some great guests and we hear from some great people. But it feels like every year we try to make it bigger and better. I don't know that we've ever gotten a better guest than Barry Sanders, the greatest of all time in my book when it comes to running back. You know, last year we had Emmitt Smith on the show, and we're like, wow, the all-time rushing leader. But when it comes to the greatest running backs of all time, Barry Sanders, I think, might be. I don't know. Josh, you've been around for all of the Radio Rows. Pete, you've been around for most of the Radio Rows. I don't know that we've ever had a guest that tops Barry Sanders. Can you think of one?
I mean, yeah, you mentioned Emmitt Smith. That's a pretty good one.
You go Emmitt Smith over Barry Sanders.
I mean, Barry's career is tough because he walked away early, right? You didn't get the full Barry Sanders career that you probably would have liked to see, but Barry's up there, man.
Barry, I would think, is number one. Where do you go? Do you have one that you remember from the years that you're like, that one stands out?
I mean, in terms of name recognition, Barry's probably the biggest you've ever had. But you've had some incredible guests.
We had
in
Jesse Jackson on. I remember that from New York City, way back.
That was
Reverend Jesse
people
Jackson.
Forget. We went years ago when the Super Bowl was in New Jersey. We went to that Super Bowl way back in like 2014.
Yep.
And that was before my time.
Yeah. Then we didn't go back for a couple of years there. That was like.
But then you went to Minnesota.
The next one we went back to was in Minnesota.
Because of the Birds, right?
Right, when the Eagles went. And then we kind of have been there every single year since. We missed a couple of years because of COVID in 2020 when they went to –
Well, you went in 2020, but you didn't go in 2021.
Right, when they were in Tampa.
Right.
The year they went to Tampa when the Buccaneers won the Super Bowl that season. We did not go that year. And then the next year was in L.A., and we did not go to that one either.
Right, because of all the COVID protocols. It was
probably
just
not
too
a good
much.
idea to gather a bunch of radio stations during a pandemic.
Well, I mean, by that time it was over. But I think the fact that it was in L.A.
No, there were some logistical issues. I forget exactly what it was, but there was something. I remember, Mike, you turned to me. You're like, this is just not worth it.
Well, this year we obviously were out in San Francisco, and I will say from the time we were out there, the game was just not a buzz. There was just no buzz about the game, and quite frankly, the game was not great last night. Right from the get-go, Seattle kind of dominated the game right from the get-go, and they were clearly the better team. I mean, they were clearly the better team last night. Their defense was legit. They basically did what the Eagles were able to do the year before. They were able to get to Drake May by sending 4 all night long. They did not have to blitz, and they pressured him, and they rattled him, and they were all over him all night long. The game did get to, 19-7 at one point, so you thought maybe the Patriots had settled in and got back into the game, but they just could not. They had the fumble, they had the interception, and the Seattle Seahawks were just clearly the better team. And Sam Darnold, the former number 3 overall pick, did you know that he is the first quarterback from USC to start in a Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl?
Yep.
the 3rd overall pick in the draft with the New York Jets, is now a Super Bowl champion. So now everybody is chasing the Seahawks.
And I got another stat for you. Sam Darnold led the league in total turnovers this year with 20.
Correct.
14 picks, 6 lost fumbles, and he's your Super Bowl champion.
And,
Right,
he had 0 turnovers the entire postseason.
And 0 turnovers the entire postseason.
During the playoff run, right.
Yeah.
And that was a big story for them, is the fact that he was turning the football over. And, the story here is the fact that, how safe and careful the Eagles are with turning with the football. And you had the situation where Darnold, during the course of the year, had the 28 picks, or the 28 turnovers, I think it was. And
20 turnovers.
Yeah.
20 turnovers.
20
total.
turnovers.
He led the
14.
NFL in turnovers with 20.
14 picks.
14 picks, correct.
And then all of a sudden, you get to the playoffs, and he cleaned that whole thing up. So, I don't know. Does anybody – we asked the question all week long to all the guests that we had on out there, which, again
now, I got a question for you. You said there was no buzz leading up to it being in San Fran. Was that because of the host city or the two teams? I mean,
I think it was because of the two teams.
Okay, so you're thinking if it was a better matchup.
I mean, I will say, listen, I had
there?
never been to San Francisco before. It was the first time that I was out there.
It just seemed like to me, watching from afar, that it was just a game going on in the middle of a city, of a regular, everyday life city.
I mean, New Orleans is smaller, so it feels like the Super Bowl is more like the fact that the stadium is like an hour away from where everything was taking place.
Everything is really spread out there.
Yeah.
Like Kaplan was talking to me about that, off the air, Mike, about how he's like, everything is so far from each other out here.
It is. Well, Monday night when the media night was happening, that was in San Jose.
Correct.
So that's like 45 minutes away. The stadium is in Santa Clara. That's like 45 minutes away. The Radio Row was in San Francisco, which is where everything was. Now, I was in San Fran for the week. Put it this way. If you've ever been to San Francisco, I never saw the Golden Gate Bridge. I never saw Oracle Park. I never saw Alcatraz. I never saw the Bay Bridge. So I spent the whole week out there and never saw any of that stuff.
Never went to Jerry Garcia's house.
I did not even hear about Lombard Street. I don't know anything about it. We literally went from our hotel to the convention center, back to the hotel. We ate at a couple different places. We were in Union Square for a little bit. That's where we had dinner a couple of times. But I saw no sightseeing. Now, that being said, by the end of the week, Thursday, Friday, the town was filled with football fans. But the question all week long was just kind of like this game just doesn't have the buzz. There was no storylines. Both these teams emerged without, like, the Patriots. It's not like the Patriots went from the Brady era to the Brady-Belichick era to then Belichick by himself for a couple of years. The thing comes crumbling down. They're one of the worst teams in football for the last, 5 or 6 years, and they never had – like a ramping back up. They went from a bad football team to the Super Bowl. So there was no story to kind of like they've been on the come for the last couple of years. Same with Seattle. I mean, did Seattle even make the playoffs last year? I don't think they did.
No, they didn't.
So you have a team that has been kind of been mired in mediocrity. They either make the playoffs, they're like a wild card team, or last year, they missed the playoffs. And they go from that to now the best team in football. So there is no build or story of these two teams like working their way back. Like, for instance, if the Bears end up making the Super Bowl last year, this year they made the playoffs, they won a game, they had another game where they were right there. So there's a story of them hey, they've been kind of building toward it. Seattle and the Patriots both jumped over all those steps. Now, one of the stories that we kept asking all week long on Radio Row to a lot of our guests was which one of these two teams has the staying power, and we had a variety of answers. Some people think it's the Patriots because Drake May was second in the MVP, and they feel like they have the coach and the quarterback, and because May is an MVP-level quarterback this year, that should keep their sustainability going.
You would think that, but that was before last night's game, and Monday morning quarterback, they were terrible.
They were terrible. Now,
Vrabel was the coach of the year. He didn't have a good night. McDaniels, he was the assistant coach of the year. He had an awful night.
But
Drake
guess
May
what?
was runner-up in the MVP. He had an awful night.
But, guys, for everything you just said, there were 2.5 more million people who watched the game yesterday than last year. So for all this talk about storylines, people still tuned in.
Well, and there's a lot of reasons for that. Listen, I mean, the way that they measure ratings now has changed a lot. That basically, that's all inside baseball type of conversation. But, yeah, I mean, it was still, it's still the Super Bowl. People still are like, hey, it's on. I'm going to watch it, all that stuff. But
by the way, if you combine streaming and television and everything
I didn't think the numbers actually came out yet.
I have an article right here. It says
but I've been seeing people saying the numbers in these articles are not accurate, that NBC has yet to release the numbers. They're not coming out till tomorrow.
Well, it's a bad job by these articles. Bad job by USA Today, and who's the other one here?
There's no filter on the internet, man.
Yahoo Sports. Bad job.
I don't know, whatever. I mean, listen, we had this conversation at dinner the other night. I said it's going to be the most watched game in the history because of the way they now calculate it. They have a whole new way they calculate ratings, which is a better way.
But next year will be the most watched Super Bowl of all time, right?
Right.
And 2028.
Every year will just keep going up.
Right.
Right. Well, they do this thing now where they actually measure people that are not watching the Super Bowl at their house. They call it out of home. So if you're at a bar and there's like 50 people in the bar, they now try to calculate those 50 people, where before they would not. Those 50 people would not be accounted for. That being said, the ratings and everything, the game was not great. The two teams did not have a lot of buzz. The Patriots are not – when they had Brady and Belichick, it was Brady and Belichick. It's not that the Patriots, even in their run of that dominance, they didn't become like a hated team. Like – the Patriots are still not like one of the 5 like marquee teams in the league.
No.
Even with all their success, it's not like it was Brady and Belichick. It's not the Patriots that people look at. They never really – it's kind of like the Bulls. When the Bulls had Jordan, they were a draw. But now that Jordan's gone, no one looks at the Bulls and still looks at them like the Jordan Bulls. They're just the Bulls. Like, nobody cares.
Right,
You're
well, that's
saying
because
like with the Patriots now?
That's what the Patriots are. They're
Right.
not high profile enough as the New England Patriots. You probably, I'm sure, and this is where everybody says that the games are fixed and all this stuff. You think that they wanted the Patriots and the Seahawks in the Super Bowl?
They still have the Patriots stink on them, right? With Kraft as the owner, Vrabel's there, McDaniels
I
is
don't
still
think so.
there.
No.
The fan base is what it is.
No, because, guys, people,
think so?
No.
it's about the athletes. It's not about the teams anymore. People don't have always – there are people who don't even have a favorite team. They said their favorite athlete now. Like when Steph Curry retires, no one's going to care about the Warriors.
Well, and that's another example. The Warriors are not a marquee franchise. Like with Steph Curry and the Warriors, they are.
Correct.
But once he leaves –
'Cause Steph Curry.
Right, but once he leaves, the Warriors just go back to being what they've always just the Warriors.
Like Cleveland
Exactly.
with LeBron.
Exactly.
Yes.
When LeBron was in Cleveland, they were a marquee team. They're no longer a marquee team. Like, I think right now, if NBC had its way, they would have rather had the Bills. They would have rather had the Chiefs. They would have rather
100%.
had,
The
Baltimore,
Rams. The Rams.
Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
anybody.
They would have wanted Bills-Rams. That was probably the Super Bowl that they wanted.
Well, you got this game last night, and I will say the Seahawks – see, there was a lot of conversation, too, about the Patriots and their schedule. And this is where, like, when you go through the season and you're like, well, they can only play who's on their schedule. They can only beat who's on their schedule. And that's true. You have to beat who's on your schedule. But it also could cap out your ceiling that you don't get pushed during the season by a team that is very good. So you have to keep winning those games in front of you, and you should be commended for that. But once they got to face a team that was superior to them, that came out last night. That showed last night.
Whereas Seattle plays L.A. in the NFC title game, that's really the Super Bowl.
Well, they
right?
played L.A. in the title game. They played
3
San
times.
Francisco during the year.
Yep.
They played a schedule that gave them challenges on their way to get there. New England last week faces Stidham, right?
Yep.
So that's not a game that they got challenged in all that much. But wasn't a great game last night. There wasn't a lot of moments in the game. But what it does now is you got the Seattle Seahawks as the team that's an NFC team that you're now trying to chase down. And the question is, if you're an NFC team like the Eagles, do you look at that team and say we are far away from them?
No, because you know what? Seattle's in the same position that Philly was last year. They're going to lose Clint Kubiak, who was a wizard last night. He goes to Vegas. They're going to be without a play caller and offensive coordinator. They got to figure that out. So that's an interesting spot to be in.
609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. What you think of the game last night? I got to tell you, I think the commercial thing is kind of over.
You think so?
I'll tell you why the commercial thing is over.
Can you pinpoint to any commercial last night?
There's only one.
The one that had Costanza in it, and he's not even Costanza.
The Goodwill Dunkin'?
Yeah.
And I don't even know what it was for.
It's for Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah. But it was
that
a
one.
spoof
No,
on Goodwill Hunting.
the only one, and I never saw Goodwill Hunting. That's why I didn't get it.
Oh.
The only commercial that I remember basically at all was the one for the crypto, that had like
That was dumb.
The karaoke.
Coinbase?
Yes.
Coinbase, yeah. That was
That's
stupid.
the only one that I remember.
But see, the reason why you know the commercial thing is way past done is because what you didn't see yesterday. I know it's a little inside baseball. Give me a hot second. Did you notice there were no major movie premieres last night?
Wasn't there one for Minions? And no, there was one.
No,
with,
they told you to go online and watch it.
Wasn't there one with wasn't Yoda in one of them?
They told you to go on. Well, that was the actual commercial. They actually told you to go online to watch the Minions trailer. Typically, the Super Bowl every year historically there's 2 or 3 major movies that's the premiere. That's the day.
Usually it was like Star Wars every year, right?
Well, for example, there's a huge Marvel movie, the next Avengers movie coming out later this year. It's probably going to break like every box office record. And they're like, nah, we're going to wait for it to premiere online next week.
Well, I would say this. The NFL is running into an interesting situation here. You're charging $8 million for a commercial, $8 to $10 million for a commercial. Well, as soon as the game goes to commercial, everybody goes to their phones.
Yes.
They're not even watching the commercials.
Yeah.
So the commercials now are starting to lose the impact that they once had, that you would say, I'm watching for the commercials. But the commercials have not been as impactful over the last couple of years, and I feel like people do not talk about the commercials nearly as much anymore.
Well, you're always going to get the Budweiser Clydesdales, right? You're always going to get the Pepsi, probably the Doritos of some sort, right? You're always going to get those commercials.
Did you get them last night?
Yeah, the Clydesdales I saw, right?
I literally remember
one.
the Coinbase commercial, the karaoke one. Other than that, I don't think
the Pepsi one with the polar bear, right?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, okay. He did a taste test, and he
Yeah, the
realized
taste
he'd been
test.
drinking Coke his whole life, but Pepsi's better.
He was in therapy.
Yep.
Yeah,
I saw that.
But
I didn't remember that until you brought it up, Pete.
yeah, I feel like the commercial thing for the Super Bowl is kind of losing a little bit of its impact,
It has.
if you
Totally.
will. I don't know, out there, people listening on the radio, do you disagree? Like, do you have a bunch of
It
commercials?
probably doesn't help that a lot of these commercials get leaked online anyway ahead of time.
Well, I don't seek them out. I never saw them that way either. But game was meh.
I would say less than meh.
I don't think it was meh. I think that a lot of people.
Game was 9-0 at the half.
9-0 at the half.
I thought it was a
New
really.
England didn't score a point until the fourth quarter.
Well, maybe I'm the weirdo here, but I thought it was impressive that the Seahawks defense did way. The Seahawks defense completely took Josh McDaniel to the woodshed. I thought Mike McDonald looked at Josh McDaniel and said, I don't care how many championships you have. I'm going to BTA you into the grave. Josh McDaniel had no answers for that defensive pressure. He got his quarterback almost murdered last night. And I think that Mike McDonald, I should say, basically took Josh McDaniel and said, take a long walk on a short pier, buddy. This is my time.
Well, by the way, he's got a much better team, I think, than the Patriots do. But they absolutely were more prepared. Now, the game was a snooze fest because it was a punt fest.
And the Patriots hung in there, right, until the wheels came off.
Well, and
They were forcing
keep in
field
mind
goals.
The dam broke.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, if you remember, we had Kelly in Vegas on with Ariel Epstein.
How could I forget?
And my prop bet pick with them was A.J. Barner first touchdown.
I did see that on Twitter, yep. And
So that happened
hit.
last night. Now, full disclosure,
You didn't bet it.
I thought that it would have been a tush
push, right.
because he does the tush push because Charbonnet got hurt.
I thought you were going to say that you didn't bet it, and that was the downside.
That too, but
I mean, the Barner tush push would have happened if they could get the ball inside the 5-yard line.
I was going to say,
They didn't do anything.
Seattle, of course, Jackson Smith and Jigba left the game, and he ended up getting hurt.
Yep.
But Seattle's offense wasn't. I mean, Darnold and May were terrible in the first half of that game. They had more incompletions. Somebody tweeted this out. Those two had more incompletions combined than Jalen Hurts has in his 2 Super Bowl games.
Which goes back to why we got to stop acting like the quarterback is the reason why you win championships.
It's the team.
The Seattle
team
Seahawks
around
looked
you.
at the Eagles last year and said, we are going to do our version of you. We're going to build up the offensive and defensive lines. We're going to lean on them, and they won. Credit to them.
Well, I mean, so the game was just kind of meh, and Seattle is now your champion. But I think a lot of it is because, and to go back to the beginning, we're in Radio Row last week. Not a lot of discussion about the game. Nobody really seemed to care much about the game. It was more about this celebration of football.
Right.
I mean, the town was packed. It wasn't like it was, nobody cared to be there
The
and
number of
celebrate the
people-
Super Bowl. But it wasn't more about the two teams in the game as it was just, hey, it's Super Bowl week, and we want to be here, and we want to be a part of it.
I was saying to you and Nick when you guys were out there, Mike, that if you had just watched on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube, the number of people walking past the table was just ridiculous in and of itself.
Well, I will say the ballroom or convention room that we were in was smaller than normal. So it was tighter in there than, last year in New Orleans, the year before that in Vegas, the year before that in Phoenix, where the convention center room was much bigger and much more spread out. So we had more room to operate and do our show. This year, the room that we had was way smaller, and the space that we had was even tighter. We only had the table that we're at right now, we had one table. This was it. Usually we have 2 tables, and we have a little bit more room to kind of flow and move around. We had one table this size. That was it. So it made it a little bit more challenging. But it was a fun week. Anybody out there listening who listened last week, we had Cooper DeJean, Reed Blankenship, N'Kobe Dean, Donovan McNabb, Barry Sanders, and a plethora of others. The Greg Cosell Football at 4 segments I thought were awesome. Who was your, forget the favorite commercials. Who was your favorite guest
Brian Hoyer
of last week? Brian Hoyer.
Yep. That was
he was on for Football at 4.
Yeah, and he was featured in the Philly, the 30 for 30 Philly special. He was in.
By the way, Josh, did you end up watching that?
I did.
I watched that as well.
Did it exceed your expectations? Because you were not excited about it.
Nope. Still wasn't excited.
Wow, I thought it was unbelievable. I thought it was excellent.
Yeah,
you
it was
are
good.
easily impressed, though.
Good story.
I was not
story.
easily impressed. I
Good
thought
job.
it was very well done. I actually am not easily impressed. I'm the one who says every Hall of Famer should not be in the Hall of Fame
Which is
at
why
all.
I'm surprised you just said that.
I thought I thought it was very, very well done. Very well done.
The only thing I learned from that was the full story about the restaurant, when they were eating the restaurant. I thought that part was really cool.
Which was what?
So apparently Foles ate at a specific restaurant, and he wanted to bring everybody back to that specific restaurant to eat at because that's what he ate at before they went to win the Super Bowl. And he talked about the story about
Earnshaw said he was sobbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, he wants Foles' jersey retired.
That's
which
true.
is- he
Brought
wants
him
a
to
statue out
tears.
there.
Brought him to tears.
That's a little much.
Foles is everything in Nick Earnshaw.
I thought that the documentary, even if I knew every single story, which a lot of it I had heard before, I thought it was very well done, though. The way they
I didn't say it was
presented
badly
and the
done.
whole way that they went through how they had called the play, they ended up having to call timeout, and then, how he walked over there, and then the whole thing about how...
And he had no idea why he said, do you want Philly, Philly?
That whole
It's not
part
even
of it.
the name of the
He
play,
said you didn't
right?
even get the name of the play right, but that Peterson knew exactly what he was talking about.
Yep.
Right.
Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. When we come back, Mike McGarry from the Press of AC. Are the Seahawks here to stay? We'll get into that. By the way, the Sixers, they made news last week. And by the way, They're out west. They finished their West Coast trip tonight.
Tonight, baby.
3-1 on this
10 p.m.
West Coast trip. Man, I'll tell you what. That stadium in San Francisco the arena was awesome. The arena where the Warriors play, the Chase Center, was awesome. Place was really cool. That's next. This is the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, 2:30 Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN Live at the Fanatics Sportsbook, Ocean Casino Resort, Atlantic City. That's our final show here for the football season. The Seattle Seahawks are the NFL champions. They are the Super Bowl champions. Do the Eagles take over next season and get them back to where they, back to the promised land? It's going to be an interesting run for Philadelphia this offseason now that we have a lot of stories. John McMullen at 3 o'clock. The Eagles hired a new offensive line coach today.
I saw that. He's from Minnesota, right?
He's from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Was on Vic Fangio's staff in Denver. He has been the offensive line coach in Minnesota the past 4 seasons. His
Which
name
means
is Chris
Cooper?
Chris Cooper, but
Which means
K-U-P-E-R.
Mannion was the QB in 2023.
Yes, they had played he had played there.
Yeah.
And Cooper. So the offensive line coach is now Chris Cooper. The run game coordinator is Ryan Mahaffey, and he's also going to be the tight ends coach.
That's another Mannion buddy, right?
He was in Green Bay this past year, yes.
So Mannion really is getting, the autonomy to hire his guys.
Well, we're going to talk to John coming up because one of the big stories this week, we were at Radio Row. We got a chance to talk to Nakobe Dean, got a chance to talk to Cooper DeJean, got a chance to talk to Reed Blankenship. Scott Grayson got a chance to catch up with Brandon Graham. He also talked to
Mailata, was he out? He was out there.
Mailata was out there as well. And one of the big stories from all those guys was how surprised they were to hear about Stoutland basically stepping down. They all seemed shocked that he stepped down. And replacing those guys now comes with the reporting that came out later in the week about Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson and them potentially, those guys potentially retiring. So you could have Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson both retiring in the same offseason. If you're a new offensive line coach, you're stepping into a situation where you might not have Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson. Now, if you're Landon Dickerson and Lane Johnson, is part of the reason you retire, could it be tied to, I got to work with a new offensive line coach?
Yeah, and did you get the sense that maybe that Stoutland thing was not handled really correctly by Sirianni and the front office? Maybe
that was some of the reporting that that he felt disrespected or that it wasn't handled all that well. I don't know. I don't know how to look at that because the Eagles' offense had been struggling. I don't know. There's 2 ways to look at it, I think. We talked a little bit about this last week, but now that the dust has settled and here we are, the offense has struggled last year. The run game struggled last year. Was it because the offensive line wasn't any good? Here's the thing. The Eagles wanted to get a new philosophy and scheme on offense, right?
Yes.
So, to do so, Jeff Stoutland had to be willing to give up some of his power.
The problem with that is when Sirianni did, take over kind of the run game stuff, they didn't improve. It was just as bad.
Well, but it was fine. I'm not debating that part of it.
Okay.
I'm debating the part of it's time to get a new offensive philosophy, a new scheme, a new philosophy. And if that means they brought in a new offensive coordinator who's going to get to design the offense that he wants, not the offense that Nick Sirianni wants to run, the offense that Sean Mannion wants to run. If they are finally willing to say, we're going to run your offense, you have full autonomy here, that meant that Jeff Stoutland likely had to give up some say. And if he was unwilling to do so, I think you have to be okay with them saying, listen, Jeff, it's time to move on. We need to evolve. And if that's the case, I would say good for the Eagles of not succumbing to Jeff Stoutland saying it's my way or the highway with this run game. Now, I know I have said before, who are somebody to say, why don't I want this guy to run my run game? He's been one of the best running performances. Well, guess what? If I have to reshape my offense, I can't reshape my offense but keep the same run style. I got to either reshape it or it's not going to work. I can't half-assly reshape it. So if you are buying into what Sean Mannion is going to do, you got to give him 100% autonomy to be able to do it. You can't just halfway step in and say, we're going to change parts of our offense. It's either we're changing the philosophy offensively or you're not.
And that McVay coaching tree run game is not the same as, what we've been used to with Jeff Stoutland. It's entirely different.
Right. That's the big thing is much of the run game, much of the offense that is in here now. You got Mahaffey, the new tight end and run game coordinator. He is from the LaFleur system. You've got Mannion, who was part of the, he was LaFleur. He played for Shanahan.
McVay.
He played for, he played for McVay and O'Connell, coached with LaFleur. McDaniel was with Josh Grizzard. So you have all these coaches that are here now that are off the McVay, Shanahan type of tree. So if you're going to go down that road with all these coaches on that coaching staff are now coming in here to teach that, you can't have Stoutland trying to infiltrate what he wanted to do into that scheme. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter if Barkley rushed for 2,000 yards 2 years ago or not, right?
Well, that's in large part because of how well the offensive line played. I mean, yes, the scheme and some of the stuff they did, but they had the same scheme and everything last year, and it didn't work. Why?
Yeah.
Because the offensive line wasn't very good. And there's no guarantee that line's going to be – what if Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson don't come back? Now you need a new right tackle, you need a new left guard, and, there's a whole heck of a lot that that you need to possibly change now because of that. All right, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. We're going to try to reschedule later. In the year 2026, we again have phone problems. Can you believe that? How many times is this? 40 in 2026?
Yep.
Unbelievable. So we're having phone issues. We were in San Francisco all week last week. No problems. We're in Atlantic City. We can't get the phone lines working. It's pretty apropos, right? After the Super Bowl, the day after, our phone lines decided to take the day off.
Take the day off.
I know next year.
Sleep in.
Right? Next year, the Super Bowl is going to be on Valentine's Day.
And President's Day weekend.
Yeah, the holy grail that everybody's been waiting for. Of course, we're not off on President's Day. The phone lines are off on President's Day, but not the show.
Now, how do you think L.A. will do as a host city with the Super Bowl?
Oh, it was out there a couple of years ago.
Right.
So,
but does it get swallowed up by, everything else going on?
Well,
or does the Super Bowl just supersede everything?
It depends. I don't think that San Francisco swallowed this up. I mean, I put it this way. My hotel, we were a block from Radio Row. We went out to eat one night, and at the hotel, we were walking back to our hotel, and coming out of the restaurant next door to our hotel was Donovan McNabb and Keith Bullock. They were eating dinner, right?
Right.
You saw people walking all over the town, everywhere. We saw Chris Fowler the other night.
Oh, did you? He was eating dinner?
He was just walking down the street.
Well, he was doing the Australian Open, so I guess he got back stateside.
He was walking down the street by himself, and he was just walking down the street. We were coming out of the place that we had dinner. By the way, shout out to one of our listeners who texted in to go to the Golden Gate Tap House.
That was Jeff in Summers Point.
All right, Jeff in Summers Point, the Golden Gate Tap House. We went to dinner there Thursday night.
Got some good West Coast IPAs out there?
No, East Coast, New England.
Okay.
I'm not a West Coast IPA guy. They're a little bit more pale ale-ish. But one of the listeners, we had a bunch of people text in places to go, and Jeff in Summers Point was the winner. We selected because that was within walking distance to our hotel, the Golden Gate Tap House. We went there on Thursday night for dinner. But the town was vibrant. I mean,
I think
I don't know. People kept talking about the town. There was nothing wrong with the town.
I think, now, what did you think of the coverage?
It smelled like weed everywhere,
does,
but,
yeah.
that's everywhere.
Well, yeah, that's the birthplace of it, basically. But the town, the coverage yesterday on NBC, they probably could have done a better job of showcasing San Francisco. But the problem is that's, again, like you said, 45 minutes away.
Right. I mean, I know
did
they
the
did
Alcatraz
They
thing.
did the pregame from Alcatraz.
But I think they could have probably gone elsewhere, gone to other places.
Right. The fact that the stadium is 45 minutes outside of the city does not help.
No.
You know, like in
it
New
might
Orleans.
even hurt it. It probably hurts it.
The New Orleans, the stadium is, I mean, New Orleans is small, right?
Yeah.
New Orleans is tiny. So everything is all encompassing right there. Like the year was in Minnesota. The Radio Row was at the Mall of America. The
Right.
stadium is like 45 minutes from there. I never saw Minneapolis at all. Never made it down there.
Didn't get a chance to go see Prince's.
No, but I mean, even in Vegas. We were in Vegas the one year. I never got out on the Strip. I never saw it because our hotel was the Luxor and the Radio Row was connected at the MGM Grand. We never went outside. Like people, like we're not. The shows are long. They're long days. So it's not like you have all this time to go sightseeing in the town. Now, I did think that Vegas, to be honest, which Vegas is small. I mean, it's not a huge city. It's got the Strip, which is pretty big. But I think when you went out on that Strip, you would not have known the Super Bowl was there.
Right, that got swallowed up.
The only places that it was apparent that the Super Bowl was there was like out front of the one with all the, I don't know which casino that is.
Bellagio?
Yeah,
Bellagio. probably.
with all the fountains.
Yeah.
Because they had a lot of the television stations set up right in front of that.
Yeah.
So you could see. But if you walked anywhere else in Vegas, you would not have known that the Super Bowl was there. Like in San Francisco, I don't know. Like you don't know that these cities are so big, but like there were just people everywhere. I can't imagine the streets are that vibrant in San Francisco on a normal Thursday night, right? I mean, walking up and down the streets, there were just people everywhere. So,
but you were in the epicenter of it all, right? We don't know how buzzing it was on the other side of San Fran, right, or in another area of it.
I have no idea. Yeah, like I said, I don't know much about San Francisco. I never been there before. I didn't do a lot of research before going there because I know it's not like, hey, we're going to have all this downtime to go do whatever the heck we want. So, what I saw from our hotel to where the Radio Row was, and the surrounding circular area where we walked for dinner, it was buzzing with people. It was packed.
Yeah, and I think not every city's going to nail it, right? It's going to rotate different cities every year. Not every city's going to be the best city for it.
I didn't like Miami. I thought I'm not a big fan of Miami to begin with. I'm just not. It's not my scene really. Miami. I'm not a big Miami, but I didn't like Miami's setup. Atlanta was okay. It wasn't anything special. I love New Orleans. If they do it in New Orleans every year, I'd say perfect. Do it in New Orleans every single year. I like New Orleans. Phoenix was okay. Vegas, it was okay. Vegas was just all right in terms of the town, whatever. I mean, but yeah, for the most part, San Francisco is just so spread out. I mean, it would be almost like, you know, the game was in Philly or the Radio Row was in Philly, and then the game was in New York at Giant Stadium, and some of the stuff was in Baltimore. Like, it was just so spread out.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that you have San Francisco, and right across the bay you have Oakland, and then you have San Jose and Santa Clara. You have all these pretty big-sized cities all within an hour of each other. And we were laughing because at one point Oakland had the basketball team, the Warriors. Well, the Warriors are now in San Francisco.
Yeah.
They had a baseball team, which now left. They had a football team, which now left. Oakland has no professional teams left. Kind of sucks for them. And the hockey team's in San Jose.
And the Sacramento is still hosting the A's for one more year.
But could you imagine you live in Oakland, and you had the basketball team, and you always got to go to see Warrior teams. But now you live in Oakland to go see the Warriors, who had been in Oakland for all those years.
Yeah.
You've now got to go to San Francisco to go watch them. That stinks.
They left you.
Although, again, that arena was awesome. All right, McMullen at 3. We're going to try to catch up with McGarry at 3:30. Hopefully the phone lines in 2026 can be figured out by then. All right, they're back. I'm being told the phones are back. What a miracle. I ran it on the phones one time before I'm done with that because I have no energy left on the phones. But unbelievable. I think I'm losing my voice, by the way. I think literally, like, I can feel my voice dying on me right now. So if I just blank out here, it's because I have no voice left. And it's not for any other reason than I think. So I don't know what's happened here.
You don't even know what time it is, probably.
Nah, I kind of readjusted.
Okay, so you're good now?
I think so.
All right, that's good.
I did get on that red eye. I was the last person on the flight. Kelsey's wife was on my flight.
Oh, was she?
Yeah. All right,
saw her on
coming
TV
back,
out
more
there.
Sports Bash live from Ocean's Fanatic Sportsbook, 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, welcome back. Sports Bash Live from the Fanatics Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. I'm Mike Gill. We looking back at the Super Bowl, Seattle wins. Are they going to be back next year? That's the big question. Is Sam the guy? Are they back for the long haul here? This is a team that came out of nowhere. Do they have the staying power? What do you guys think? 609-403-0973. Josh, what's on the text board?
We got a plethora of texts coming in about a bunch of different stuff. Let's start with Shaner in EHC. He says, hey, fellas, how do you feel about bumping the Super Bowl one way or the other to President's Day weekend so Monday becomes a day off for everyone after the Super Bowl? He says, game-wise, I thought it was boring, but my lovely wife and friends made it fun. Side note, I love the Nakobe Dean interview you did this week. That's from Shaner in EHT.
Nice. Well, yes, if they move it back, doesn't do me much good because I don't think we get off President's Day anyway. So,
Well, I guess he means for the rest of America.
yeah,
Normal jobs.
Normal jobs.
Bankers and 9-to-5.
School teacher.
right.
Teacher,
I get it. I know they've been trying to do that for years, and they're talking about the 18th game. They would push it back one extra week.
Although Goodell said this past week that he doesn't know when the 18th game is coming. He didn't sound very promising.
The players are against that.
Yeah,
so.
right. As they should be.
And, but next year, for whatever reason, the game falls on Valentine's Day and then President's Day is the next. Why is that? I don't know.
Good question. Todd
But,
from Brady.
thanks for dropping that Nakobe Dean. The Nakobe Dean was like one of the nicest guys, by the way, and he was adamant that he wants to come back, but I don't see it happening.
We got Todd and Bradenton chiming in, Mike. He says, you can see all the Super Bowl commercials on YouTube. He said they used to be the premiere of the Super Bowl. Now it's not a big draw anymore because you've already seen them all during the week, says Todd and Bradenton.
I guess. I mean, I did not see any of them because I don't seek them out, and I'm just – yeah.
But gone are the days of the Budweiser frogs, right? I mean, that will never be – like
right.
the hype and the hoopla
That's why I said that
over these commercials will
they
never
don't
be.
even premiere the big movies anymore for Super Bowl day. Like, that's like, oof.
Well, they're getting $8 million in commercials, so I heard they made up an upwards of $880 million. NBC did.
Can you give us $1 million of that, please? Good grief.
So they did okay.
They did very well.
They did okay.
Cole from LBI says, wow, I can't believe Mike has not seen Go Will Hunting.
Yeah. So I did not kind of get what that commercial was all about.
It was Damon. It was Ben Affleck dressed up as Matt Damon.
Correct, his character.
From the movie. Yeah.
Right. BC and Bowers Beach chimes in. The Eagles need to rebuild their O-line. Prepare for a future without Lane and without maybe even Landon Dickerson. You got to make tough decisions like on A.J. Brown, says BC and Bowers Beach.
Well, the Lane thing is going to be interesting because I think his retirement would be tied more to does he just want to do it anymore. Landon Dickerson, I think his retirement would be tied more to whether his body can handle
he just
it
physically
anymore.
Can't do it anymore.
Correct. And then the A.J. Brown thing, which we have some audio from A.J. Brown. We're going to play a little bit later. So he was on the Micah Parsons podcast.
After saying he was going to do no media all week, remember?
Oh, and we got a little Micah Parsons nugget too, right?
Yeah, saying that
from before the season.
But A.J. Brown said on this is kind of funny, and McMullen's scheduled to join us on the other side, but I don't know, our primitive phone system still isn't working. Apparently went back down again.
I think the hamster needs to wake up.
Yeah,
get
somebody
back
kick
on
that
wheel.
hamster. Give him a little nudge. Tell him to start working. But, so we posted, we had the interview with Diana Rossini, which people, of course, were going crazy about. She said she doesn't think that AJ's coming back. Now, he goes on the podcast and says that, change is good. But in the same sentence, he also said that Kevin Patullo did a good job, he thought. So you believe the part where he says that he's happy and wants to be here, but do you also believe him when he said Kevin Patullo did a good job? We'll talk to John McMullen coming up.
Jersey's official play-by-play home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers.
At 0 point would I ever consider not being a fan of the team.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Is there an excitement with some of the new coaches y'all got in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm always excited. Sometimes change is not a bad thing. I have the utmost respect for KP. He to me, he did a tremendous job, and he has a great heart. But I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for what's to come. So.
That was A.J. Brown on the Micah Parsons. What's the name of his podcast?
Micah Parsons Podcast.
That's what it's called?
It's very creative.
Presented by Bleacher Report.
Well, I did see A.J. Brown at the Bleacher Report area.
That was with Derek. Was that the Derrick Henry?
Derrick Henry
No,
there.
that was a different thing.
Oh, because he was on the with Derrick Henry.
He
right?
did a thing with Derrick Henry too, where Henry was saying that
was trying
A.J.
to
Brown's
recruit
coming to
him.
Baltimore. And
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Grayson saw
A.J.
A.J.
Brown.
Brown at the Bleacher Report thing. He tried to ask him a question, and A.J. Brown said, I'm not doing any media.
And then he goes on Micah Parsons Podcast.
Well, that's different.
Well, AJ didn't. He still hasn't done any media since.
That's different, though. I don't
Niners
view,
game.
See, I don't view a player going on another player's podcast as talking to the media.
Right.
Because he knows that he's not getting asked the questions that the media would ask him. Mm-hmm. So that's not like he said he wasn't going to do media, then he went on a podcast. He went on a podcast where he knew it was like a safe space. He didn't have to get asked about anything that happened. Now, what was the question that Micah Parsons asked him?
He was asking about the change in the coaching staff in Philly.
Right. That's a safe question. What do you think? Not what went wrong last year or all that stuff. And then he was able to say what he wanted to say. If Grayson asked him a question, he's not asking him a question to give him a softball. You know, he's asking him a question of, you know, hey, AJ, like, what happened last year? Or, you know, he knows that he can control the narrative when Micah Parsons up there asking the questions. He can't do that as much if he's getting asked questions by, you know, Grayson. So he's telling Grayson, no, I'm not doing any media. And it's not like, well, then he proceeded to go do media. Micah Parsons isn't a real show, right? I mean, that's not something where you're expecting. Now, as he said, can you play this again? Can you play that one more time?
Is there an excitement with some of the new coaches y'all got in?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'm always excited. Sometimes change is not a bad thing. I have the utmost respect for KP. He to me, he did a tremendous job, and he has a great heart. But I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for what's to come. So
now, if you listen to what he said there, right, it sounds like full indication that I'm excited for the season. I'm excited for what's to come. I mean, you would think that he's coming back to Philadelphia, right?
I mean, based on that dialogue, it sounds like he's not asking for a trade.
Right. He didn't come out and say anything negative there. So, again.
But it was grotesquely positive. Like, saying how KP did a great job. He's got a great heart. Like, well, why don't you go hang out with KP then? Like, come on, man.
Well, and it goes back to, I asked Diana Rossini if she thought AJ was coming back, to which she says, I don't think so. And that clip that we posted on social media at Mike Gill Show, people, of course, slamming Diana Rossini and like, how can we give her a voice and blah, blah, blah. Just because she reports something or says something, she said, I'm not reporting that he's not coming back. My guess is that he's not. But just because she reports something that you don't like doesn't mean she's getting it wrong. And, like, I don't think she said anything that was like, that sounds a little flimsy there. Did you?
No. And she's been all over it. The entire A.J. Brown saga.
But that's the point.
She's been all over it.
Reporting a lot here, and people don't like what she's reporting and then think that she's just making stuff up. Here's what Diana Rossini said.
like you're asking me to like bet, like if like as a
from what you're no, and here is it more? I can't see him coming back. Or
I don't think he's going to come back.
Wow.
I have a hard time imagining that.
Okay, so she says, I don't think he's going to come back. I have a hard time imagining that. Well, then a couple hours later, he goes on the Micah Parsons podcast, and he makes it sound like everything's hunky-dory, to which then everybody goes and slams her to say, like, see, she's making stuff up. Nothing A.J. Brown said there makes me feel that, see, guys, everything's A-okay. Now, you know me. I'm almost like, whatever these guys say. But my point is, I think, like, as she told us on our show, it has nothing to do with he doesn't like Hurts. It has nothing to do with his relationship with Sirianni. He and Keyshawn Johnson told us the same thing. He didn't like his role in the offense.
Right.
So, if he sits down with Sean Mannion, and Mannion is able to convince him that his role will be bigger, that will change stuff, I think. So, I think what she's saying is, from what I'm hearing at the end of last year, when Kevin Petula was still here and all that stuff,
and when
he
A.J.
was
Brown,
not happy.
And when A.J. Brown wouldn't talk to the media. Remember, he bailed on the post-game in the locker room for the end of the season. He bailed on, clean out your locker day. He was nowhere to be found.
Because I think at that point in his head, he wanted to move on.
He was gone, right.
But now the dust has settled. Now they fired Kevin Petullo. He said, Kevin Petullo got all the love and respect for him and almost out the other side of his mouth, but thank God he's gone. Because he says, in a very eloquent way, but sometimes change is a good thing. So I think since the end of the season, when he didn't want to talk because he didn't want to say what he really felt, now the season has ended, things have happened, and I think he's more open to saying, you know what, they made the change that I was hoping they made. I'm excited about the change, and maybe I'm reconsidering the situation again.
I mean, I hope you're right, Mike, but just I listened to the whole pod on my drive up to the Pick Lily on Saturday, and I just feel like everything A.J. Brown says is just, I can't believe anything he said. I feel like he's a fraudulent individual. I feel like he's just, going through the motions. He's just saying stuff.
And my question is, Josh and Gil, is A.J. going to allow Mannion a little bit of a grace period? First-time play caller, young guy, new offense. Is he going to allow some growing pains? I don't think we expect Mannion to hit the ground running.
That's a great question.
35 points a game.
Well, it was a question that we asked Keyshawn Johnson when we asked him last week. Like, hey, you're Keyshawn Johnson. You're the number one pick in the draft. You're a Super Bowl champion. If they brought in a play caller who has 2 years experience, what does Keyshawn Johnson says? You got to give him the chance. You got to be willing to give him a chance. So you're hoping that A.J. Brown gives him the benefit of the doubt and gives him a chance. I think A.J. Brown, listen, Sean Mannion was in Green Bay. We had Romeo Dobbs on, and Romeo Dobbs said on our show that A.J. and Devontae can expect to get the ball in more creative ways now.
Right.
So I'm sure A.J. Brown is familiar with the style of offense. Maybe had an opportunity to talk to Nick Sirianni, Howie Roseman. Who knows? For them to assure him, hey, we are going to evolve the offense. We are going to change this offense, and it is going to be for your benefit.
Really, really quick, Mike. Also, Scott Grayson got a chance to talk to Jordan Love. For those who didn't hear it last week, here's what Jordan Love told Scott Grayson about the hiring of Sean Mannion.
Real quick, can you tell us about Sean Mannion, what the Eagles should expect out of getting him?
Man, you guys are getting a great coach. I've been with Sean for 2 years. He's very smart. Obviously has a lot of expertise from when he played in the league. And he's just a smart guy. He's very detail-oriented. So I'm excited for him and this opportunity for him and to see what he brings to Philly.
And lastly, what should Jalen Hurts expect out of what he'll try to get out of him?
Yeah, he's played the position. He knows what it takes, and he's going to push Jalen for sure. He did a great job with me. I love having him in the room. I think just anytime you get someone who's played the position, knows it, it helps out. So I'm excited to see how that relationship builds with them.
Well, and there's two parts there. The one part about what Mannion should do for A.J. in the offense, and then, of course, what it will do for Jalen. And it's the fact that Sean Mannion played the quarterback position, and he's the coordinator. So he's not just a quarterback coach. he's a coordinator who happened to play quarterback so that he can actually now work with Jalen Hurts. I thought one of the more bizarre stories of last week, by the way. So I don't know how many people were aware of this. One of our first guests on Radio Row last week was Jeff Garcia.
Yes.
Jeff Garcia, I thought, was excellent, and he really broke down where he thinks Jalen needs work. For the people who heard the Jeff Garcia interview, I thought it was very telling. But one of the things he said, now Garcia goes and says that he called Nick Sirianni and offered his services to help coach.
Right, because he has a background with Sean Mannion when Mannion was with the Rams.
He coached with the Rams in 2015 when Mannion was the quarterback there.
Which was, 11 years ago at this point.
He has not coached since. He was a one and done. So he says, I offered.
That's important context.
He called Nick Sirianni, and he offered to coach. And he said, I never heard back. And quite frankly, I don't like the way it's been handled.
What is he expecting? Like you said, he hasn't coached in 11 years.
The odd part is, so Jeff Mosher wrote an article about how Garcia offered to coach, and the Eagles never called him back. Well, the Eagles read the article and said, he's never reached out to us. So Mosher writes the retort, plot twist. Garcia says he reached out to the Eagles, but the Eagles say he's never reached out, that they've never heard from Garcia.
That is a bizarre story.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you got to wonder, is Garcia, is he the one smoking the funny stuff?
Right. Who makes that story up? Does Garcia, who, by the way, he brought it up.
Yeah. You didn't ask him, did he want
I had
to coach?
no idea. Full disclosure, I didn't know he coached the Rams or Sean Mannion. I had no idea that he had any relation, which is bad by me. I probably should have had that background. That being said, I didn't know Jeff Garcia was coming over to talk to us at that moment. So I did not have that background of, hey, him and Mannion crossed paths, and he coached. I had no idea that Jeff Garcia coached with the Rams. He volunteered that information. He also volunteered the information that he reached out to the Eagles, and that I actually have the bite on my social media if you see it on there, Josh. And he went out of his way to say he didn't like how it was handled. The way that the Eagles never called him back and basically blew him off. Well, then the Eagles say, here's the problem. He never reached out to us. Whose word do I take here, the Eagles or Jeff Garcia's? Because Garcia, a lot of the stuff that he said in the bite is, hey, here's where Jalen Hurts needs some help, and I think I can help him. He laid it all out, that there's things that Jalen Hurts can work on, and I thought what he said made a heck of a lot of sense, did it not?
Which I think Garcia, being a former quarterback, obviously, he's going to know what Jalen struggles in, just like Mannion is. He's a former quarterback as well.
You hope, but that's where Garcia was saying, hey, I've been watching Jalen Hurts. Here is what Jeff Garcia said.
I was with Sean. He's a quarterback out of Oregon State.
Correct.
And he was with the Rams for a little bit. He was the backup when I was coaching with the Rams. I've reached out to Nick about coaching with the Eagles, and I don't get a call back, so I'm very disappointed and discouraged by the whole process here.
So
that's amazing.
That's him saying, I coach Sean.
Yeah.
And is there more?
Yeah. And that clock needs to be ticking in your head. And he's been blessed to have a great offensive line in front of him and great time at times. You see him move at times just because of out of discomfort.
Yeah.
Because it's taken a little too long. But it's because he's probably missed the first opportunity already. And so those are the things that I would be coaching him up on.
And you were interested. You saw enough from him that you wanted to work with him. You offered that.
I mean, I've reached out. Reached out.
Hey, I love what he's saying. I would have hired him.
I've reached out. I mean, I've reached out to Howie, and I've reached out to the head coach. I've tried to connect.
So that's the second time, by the way, that he offers that he reached out to help the Eagles coach, right? But the part that he says is that the timing in his head, and then the play breaks down. But what he says is it's because he's missed the first read. And how many times do we say on a Monday when the Eagles struggle in the pass game is that there are plays to be made and he's not making them, right?
All the time.
Where there's a guy open 3 yards down the field, he's running a quick little slant across, a little drag, a little something, and he just chooses not to make that throw because it looks like he's looking for something deeper down the field.
Well, also,
and Garcia is basically saying, I would coach him how to make that decision faster, to say, hey, there's a guy open, get to him the ball and let him make the yards after the catch.
That goes back to the argument, though, of don't you think Sirianni and Patullo knew that? And I mean, that sounds pretty elementary.
Well, to your point, Pete, that's where the Kurt Warners, the Nick Foles, and those guys are doing the film breakdowns, and they're saying Hurts is not reading the whole field, that he's being told to only work through one side of the field. So we might be watching the All-22 and saying, look, Devontae Smith is wide open on the right, but then Hurts never looks right.
So what Garcia was saying resonated with me. Now, the whole coaching part of it, I can't verify on any side of that. The Eagles are saying he never reached out. I don't know what you guys want to make of that story.
Yeah, I mean, is he sending Roseman an email? And
Carrier pigeon?
I've reached out to Howie and the head coach. Now, before that, he addressed Nick by name. He says, I reached out to Nick Sirianni, and he did say that he didn't get a call back, and he doesn't like the way the whole situation has been handled.
Right.
Which, pretty bizarre, right?
I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. What does it even mean you said you reached out, but then the Eagles said you didn't reach out? Like, what do you even do?
I don't know who to believe in that one. I have no idea who I'm supposed to believe.
Are the Eagles are the Eagles a little embarrassed that that Garcia put that information out there, so they're trying to do crowd control?
I have no reason to. Well, I don't know Jeff Garcia. I never met him before. I mean, that's the first time I've ever spoken to him. I don't have any reason to think he's lying. Right. But on the flip side, what are the Eagles trying to say? Well, he never reached out to us. Okay, well, now you know. Do you want to talk to the guy?
Yeah.
Well, I would talk to him as well, because here's the other part. So Mike, on Saturday, while you all were traveling back from San Francisco, I grabbed another bite from the Garcia thing, which I thought was interesting, because Garcia went on to explain more about the Jalen Hurts issues at quarterback.
Jalen just not feeling real comfortable, not real confident in what he's being coached up on, and maybe they can get to that point. You see the development of quarterbacks these days, and it starts early, prior to high school and then in high school. 7-on-7 is ruining quarterbacks' development because it's not teaching them the proper mechanics and decision making. They're not doing the right things, and then you get at the collegiate level and everything's a spread offense and it's a fast-paced offense, and there's 15 screens that they're throwing to the sidelines, and it's just not developing quarterbacks the way that quarterbacks used to be developed.
There's a lot of I think that he's not wrong about. Everybody does these 7-on-7 stuff, and I'm thinking to myself, that's all great, fine and dandy, but you're not playing 7-on-7. Why would you emulate the game when you are not emulating
pass rush and all that stuff?
You don't play 7-on-7. Yeah. Exactly. So Garcia is suggesting that a lot of these guys are coming into the league and they have not had the proper training when they get here, and that these offenses that they run at the college level are not what you run at the pro level. And we go through this cycle again where a lot of these offenses for a while were what you were running in college, but the defenses have kind of caught up to them. I don't know. It was a very interesting conversation with Jeff Garcia. If you want to check out the full conversation, you can go to our YouTube channel, 97.3 ESPN.
But back to the –
I was just going to say – reminds me of Sam Darnold. That guy came into the league at 21 years old, was with the Jets.
Yeah, but he was in a bad situation with
exactly,
the Jets.
Bad situation. Matt Rule becomes his head coach in Carolina. That's a bad situation.
But it shows you how important this coaching stuff is.
And it shows you how important coaching is, and now look at him.
Unless your name is Tom Brady, most of these guys, they need a little help.
Yeah. Well, listen, the big part of that was A.J. Brown in the beginning,
right?
Who sounded as if he's taken some time, thought about everything. They made the changes, seems to be happy with the changes, seems to be willing to give them a chance.
So, Mike, you feel like that was A.J. Brown saying, look, I needed time to cool down at the end of the season to think rationally, not make any irrational statements, and now I'm feeling differently.
Yeah, I mean, I listen, at the end of the year, I think as we talked to Diana Rossini last week, we talked to Keyshawn Johnson, and we asked Keyshawn Johnson, look, is he mad at somebody? He says, no, he's mad at his role in the offense. He didn't like his role in the offense. So, did the Eagles do something that sufficed in changing his role in the offense? Maybe they did. Maybe they didn't. Now, that bite there would suggest, yeah, sometimes change is good.
And the ball is in AJ's court, right? I mean, the Eagles will have him back. The cap hit's too massive. I mean, the ball is in AJ's court. If he wants to be back, he'll be back. If he doesn't want to be back, he'll probably be traded.
The question
right?
would be, do the Eagles say, enough's enough, we've come too far?
Because is Diana Rossini not speaking about A.J. Brown? Is she hearing people in the Eagles building saying, we might be moving on? That might be the other side. I don't know,
man. That with a new play caller like Mannion, I think you need to keep him around, AJ.
Well, and I feel like A.J. Brown has become like the polarizing guy now. There are some people who have said, I'm over him, I'm done with him, I'm ready to move on. And
like
other
me.
people are saying, you can't give up that guy. And the Eagles, I wonder if they are saying, we don't want to hold on to him a year too long when he, like DK Metcalf isn't the same receiver that he was in Seattle anymore.
Even if you have the Super Bowl window still open.
But they might not think that he's good enough to keep the window cracked open. They might think he's slipping. That's the question. Are the Eagles evaluating him saying he's lost a step? It's time to move on a year earlier than holding on to him a year late. All right, we'll get Mike McGarry's take on that. He's in the stream. He's going to join us next right here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Live video on the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel and on the X platform at Mike Gill Show.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
All right, welcome back to Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Don't forget the White Horse RV text board, always open for you, 609-403-0973. Your RV adventure starts here. White Horse RV. We will hit up the White Horse RV text board in just a little bit. Football at 4, Jeff Mosher's on the way, but right now Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City, pressofac.com. A little later than normal, our primitive phone line's not working, but Mike was kind enough to jump on the video stream for us today so we could see him on the YouTube channel and everything else. Mike, did you enjoy the big game last night?
Yeah, I always enjoy the Super Bowl, right? And what I took out of it is it's kind of a lesson, right? And kind of how we judge players. I mean, I saw Sam Darnold play in college in person at USC. I followed, his entire career there, and I thought this is a guy with a great arm who is a can't-miss guy. And I guess he was a can't-miss guy. It just took him 7 seasons not to miss, basically. And I think it's a lesson that we can learn as we look at Jalen Hurts and his development and his seasons here. Hey, it's not always – these guys are not robots. They do not get 5% better every year or 10% better every year. Sometimes it's 2 steps up, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 1 step up, 3 steps back. And I think there's something to say about hanging with talented players and seeing them through. I think sometimes we turn our back too quickly on talented players because they don't produce the results we want in 1 or 2 seasons.
Well, a lot of the question last week down on Radio Row to a lot of the people that we talked to was, do these teams have staying power? Do you look at the Seahawks as they are going to be here to stay? The Patriots are now the power in the AFC. When you watch that game last night, are these 2 teams that will be back in the mix? Kansas City did not make the playoffs this year for the first time in a long time, and Philadelphia got knocked out in the first round the year before. So do we look at Seattle and New England as 2 teams with staying power?
Yeah, I think Seattle is a team definitely with staying power because of that defense. I don't think that defense is going anywhere. That defense and the running game that they have, I think those things will travel well into next season. And I think you've now got a quarterback in Sam Darnold who's got some talent. Don't forget, Mike, he won 13, 14 games with the Vikings last season. He had a bad last season, bad finale to the regular season, and he had a bad playoff game. And the Vikings decided, well, we don't like Sam Darnold. We'd rather have J.J. McCarthy. Well, where are the Vikings now that they made that decision, right? So I think Seattle is definitely a team that I think is going to be one to look for in the NFC next season. The Patriots, I'm not so sure about. I mean, I think Drake May, how does last night's performance, he did not play well at all. How does that impact him going into the future? We've also seen Super Bowl losers struggle the next season. And I think you have to kind of look at the Patriots' schedule, right? I mean, they played an easy schedule. They didn't play a lot of tough teams. So maybe they benefited from that too. So I think the jury's out on the Patriots. I think Seattle, though, with that defense, they look like a team, I wouldn't want to play opening week next year.
They'll play that Thursday night. We'll see who they match up against. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. One of the stories last week was the Eagles on Radio Row. Jeff Stoutland deciding to leave the team today. They hired a replacement, a new offensive line coach last week, a new run game coordinator. The times are changing in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, circle of life, Mike. I think that's basically it here. I mean, it's funny how you get the same fan bases kind of ripping the Phillies for, so quote unquote running it back. However, when the football team decides that the offense was not up to snuff this season, and it clearly wasn't, all of us would agree that the Eagles' offense was not what we thought it would be this season. And they go out and they get a new offensive coordinator and they get a new offensive line coach and they kind of address issues. I think we can all agree the offensive line was an issue this season, did not perform like it had in the past. The offense was not what it was in the past. They made changes in that coaching staff and everybody's like, oh my God, you got rid of Jeff Stoutland. How are we going to go on? Yeah, we'll go on. Circle life, coaches come and go. Tom Coughlin. tremendous success with the Giants, ended up getting fired. Bill Belichick ended up, for all intents and purposes, getting fired. Everything, like I said, circle life. Everything has a half-life, and maybe Jeff Stoutland just came to the end of his time with the Philadelphia Eagles. Doesn't mean he did and no comment on the job he did in the past. He obviously did a great job, but maybe going forward, he's not the guy, and they're going in a different direction. I mean, I kind of understand that. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I know he kind of reached cult figure status here among the Eagles fan base, but he's the offensive line coach. We'll survive.
Well, and the interesting part about it is where they bring in Mannion, and now it seems that they have sided with it's time to change things. It's time to change the scheme. It's time to change what this offense will look like. And maybe Stoutland was the guy saying, no. We can't change what I'm doing here. And they said, no, it's time. And then that causes the split.
Yeah. And that's, based on the way the Eagles performed this year. Look, we know that the Eagles, their MO, they do not hesitate to change coaches if they think the thing is going in the wrong direction. And that goes for the head coach, too. I mean, they got rid of a Super Bowl winning coach, a year or two after he won the Super Bowl? And they said, this is not going in the direction we like. You want to go one way, we're going the other way. We own the team. We run the team. Doug Peterson, thank you very much, but we'll see you later. This is the Eagles' MO. They are aggressive. They attack issues that they see, and if you're not on board with them or you don't provide a solution that they think is viable, they will go in a different direction, and this is the Eagles doing that, again, to me, kind of the same thing they did with Doug Peterson.
Right, and it almost seems like they had a come-to-Jesus moment of, we had a great 5-year run, but now we need the next 5-year plan.
Right. I mean, change is good. Change in different organizations. The game's always evolving. Maybe you want to, find people that are going to make that a next advancement for you. So, look, Jeff Stoutland, great job here. The offensive line was the strength of this team for several seasons. Kind of led them to the Super Bowl 2 years ago with the running of Barkley and everything. But, hey, this year it didn't work. Now, this is the Eagles' MO. Another organization might have waited around and said, well, Jeff's been a real loyal guy here. He's had success in the past. Let's keep him around. Maybe he can fix it. That's sometimes how you end up, like the Giants winning 4 games a year for 10 years because you don't change things when the first sign of trouble comes. So I give the Eagles credit. We'll see how it plays out, and they'll be judged by how they perform on the football field. But I'm not going to slam the Eagles because they moved on from Jeff Stoutland. It was perhaps just time. I said it before. I'll say it again. Circle of life.
All right, Mike McGarry, A.J. Brown did talk at the Super Bowl. He talked on the Micah Parsons podcast, and, he essentially said change is good. I think Kevin did a good job, and he appreciates everything he did, but change might be good. Does it sound like A.J. Brown will and wants to be back?
Yeah, it did from what I heard of that podcast, and it did. It sounds like from when the Eagles held their, season-ending press conference with Howie and Nick Sirianni, that the Eagles want him back. They want, what was Roseman's quote? That, A.J. Brown is the type of player you try to acquire. So if you have him on his team, again, here's, it's funny. I'm saying with the coaches, sometimes it's a change, but it's a balancing act here. We talked about Sam Darnold a second ago. Are you going to move on from A.J. Brown because you had a rough season offensively? Maybe he had a rough season. Maybe there was some personality issues. Or are you going to try to make it work with one of the best, big wide receivers in football? And to me, I would try to make it work with A.J. Brown.
Well, it's almost like the coaching change here. Do the Eagles deem that it's time to get rid of Brown a year early, or do they want to hold on because they think the window is still there?
Yeah, it's interesting to say. The only thing I would say is, you better have a guy to replace him. I mean, big-time wide receivers are not as easy to replace as offensive line coaches, right? I mean, it's a little tougher to find the next A.J. Brown than it is to find the next offensive line coach. So that's all I would say. It'll be interesting to see. Do they go in the draft? Do they look to make a trade? I know if they release them after June 1st, it's less of a cap issue for them. So they've still got time to sort of make out this decision. But I still look at the guys on this offense, Hurts, Barkley, Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown. And I say to myself, these are skill position guys that can rank with any team that I see, and certainly rank with the skill position guys we saw last night in the Super Bowl for Seattle and New England.
Well, obviously, the Eagles have a lot to kind of figure out here. One might be, Mike, they might need 2 new offensive linemen, Lane Johnson and Landon Dickerson, reportedly thinking about retirement. And you wonder, for Lane, does he want to go? The only offensive line coach he's ever played for is Jeff Stoutland. Does he want to go to some guy telling him, hey, whatever you've been taught the last 13 years, don't do it that way, do it this way? So that's interesting there. Then Landon Dickerson, sadly, he might have to call it a career because he just doesn't have anything left to give.
Yeah, I mean, and again, you're seeing what happens to teams, right? Teams get older, guys get injured, they have to retire. You're seeing a changeover on that offensive line. It began when Jason Kelce left. If Lane Johnson were to retire, you could shut the window. Everybody's talking about the window. You can shut the window on that offensive line. So it'll be interesting to see. Hey, Mike, it's hard to win. It's hard to stay on top. It's going to be hard to find the next Jason Kelce. It's going to be hard to find the next Lane Johnson. It's not easy. That's why teams don't perpetually win every season. And these are the factors that kind of, knock teams down. It eventually caught up with the Kansas City Chiefs this year. We'll see how they respond. Is it going to catch up with the Philadelphia Eagles next year? We'll see, but you can't stay frozen in time. I mean, Jason Kelce wasn't going to snap the ball forever.
One of the more bizarre stories that we came across this week when we were in San Francisco, Mike, is Jeff Garcia comes on the show. He says that he reaches out to the Eagles and offers his services as a coach. Now, the Eagles caught wind of the story and said he's never reached out to us, which was a bizarre happening down there. That being said, his message was actually a good one, that he thinks Jalen Hurts is, there's more that he could coach out of him. And are we at a point in Jalen's career where he has flatlined to you, or that there's another evolution of Jalen Hurts still to come?
Well, I think he can get better. I think, Mike, we would agree that this year, I wouldn't even describe it as flatline. I would say this season he took a step back, right? So now the offensive coordinator is gone. The offensive line coach or / run game coordinator is gone. And Mannion has come in with new coaches. And clearly the mission statement for them is to get Jalen Hurts back to where he was when he won the Super Bowl MVP, back to where he was, maybe 3-4 seasons ago. But this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about a rush to judgment and referring to Sam Darnold. To me, there's no doubt that Jalen Hurts took a step back this season. But with the right coaching, and I think we're seeing what coaching kind of means in the NFL to some of these guys. If the Jets had the right coaches, maybe Sam Darnold's still with the Jets, but they clearly didn't. Yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts to me is still your franchise quarterback. Do you want him to be better next season? Yes, that's the job of Sean Mannion. That's the mandate. Get Jalen Hurts to where he thinks he can be. But to me, if he has a bad season, and to me, Jalen Hurts had a bad season to step back, you don't turn around and say, hey, we're going to get rid of Jalen Hurts. You say, how can we fix Jalen Hurts and take what he does well and refine it and make it better and move forward? I think too many organizations kind of say to themselves, oh, Jalen Hurts took a step back or he's flatlined. We got to move on from Jalen Hurts. To me, that's crazy.
All right, Mike, obviously with the end of the football season, we turn our attention to pitchers and catchers this week. And the Phillies are heading down to Clearwater. The truck is there. They report on Thursday. Zach Gallen, he signed with the Padres today. We see some moves still happening. Do we anticipate, though, that the Phillies are a finished product?
Finished product going into spring training and going into the regular season, yes. I think the only thing that I'm kind of anxious to see is what are they going to do with Nick Castellanos? They made it clear that they do not want them back, that there is going to be an almost a mutual parting of the ways. We're getting pretty close to the point where, does Nick show up in Clearwater? I would imagine not. I would imagine something has to be done, but it either has to be a trade or what I think is going to happen, they're just going to end up releasing him, because why would you, if you're another team, that relationship is over. They're going in a different direction. Why would I call up the Phillies and say, I'm going to trade you anything for Nick Castellanos when I know at some point you have to release him. So finished product as of the players that will make up the opening day lineup on March 26th against the Texas Rangers. Absolutely. Finished product as far as the team we see in October in the division series game 1, I don't think so. I think there'll obviously be some moves around the regular season, around the trade deadline that will, change this team. But I think the guys you're seeing now, I think you're going to see, I think everybody in that opening day lineup on March 26th is going to be in Clearwater. What is it, next Monday when they hold their first full squad workout?
Yeah, that's a good point. The Castellanos thing has still not been resolved. Yeah. He is technically still on the team. Right, exactly. I guess they are waiting to the bitter end.
Right.
We'll see if we hear something on Thursday when he's back. Finally, Mike, we didn't get to talk to you last week. Joel Embiid had pleaded for some help. Instead, they traded Jared McCain. They did get a first-round pick and a bunch of seconds here, but they did not listen to his pleas. What do we make of the messaging from the Sixers?
Look, again, first of all, the Sixers are playing an outstanding brand of basketball. They are performing great on this West Coast trip. And again, if Embiid stays healthy, and we've never seen him stay healthy, there's not a team in the Eastern Conference that I don't believe the Philadelphia 76ers can't beat. Now, having said that, Mike, much when we talked about Harrison Bader, I didn't know when Harrison Bader became Duke Snyder and there was outrage that the Phillies got rid of him. I didn't realize when the Sixers traded Jared McCain that we were trading Andrew Toney, okay? He's a 6'2 guard who struggles on defense, would have a tough time stopping producer Josh if he was out there on the court. So to me, and you see by how much he played, he really wasn't a favorite of Coach Nick Nurse. He's a 6'2 guard, shoots 38% from the three-point range, has injury issues. There's guys like that on every corner of the NBA. It's really a league built around 6'7", 6'8", 6'9 wingman, right? And you already have a backcourt with Maxey and Edgecombe. So trading him, does it give you some more freedom on the buyout market? Yes, a little bit. But I don't have an issue if the Sixers decide they want to get under the tax by trading a guy that doesn't really have a role for them. I'm not going to argue with it. I understand Joel Embiid's position, but Joel Embiid could have helped him out by maybe taking a little less money. Does he have to get $55 million a year? If he wants to bring in players, Joel, could you take in 45? I don't know. But, I'm not going to sweat it because they traded Jared McCain. They got back a late first-round pick. Maybe it enables them to do more going forward. We'll see. But I just think Jared McCain didn't fit in here. And there wasn't really a defined role for him. So they decided to save some money and get under the tax and give themselves a little flexibility. I'm not going to knock the move.
Yeah, we'll see what they end up doing here at the buyout market if they can get a rebounder, someone that can help them in the rebounds. But I like McCain. Look, Oklahoma City's not dumb. They know what they got. And the Sixers, I feel like, didn't give him the role that he would be best suited for, a guy who just comes. Now, how much of that? I think that knee injury and then the thumb kind of slowed his, ability down a bit. But he did not play well here. No question about it this season.
The other thing, Mike, is the Sixers have Maxey, who's 6'1", 6'2", right? They have Edgecombe, 6'3", 6'4". That's their backcourt. It's hard to win in the NBA, go deep in the playoffs. The Knicks kind of face the same thing with Jalen Brunson. It's hard to win when your best player is like 6'2" or under. And you could arguably make a case that the Sixers' best player on a lot of nights is Tyrese Maxey, and he's 6'2". Same thing with the Knicks. Well, 6'2" Jalen Brunson. It's hard to win in that case. I just think McCain is a guy. Now, right, maybe Oklahoma is a great spot. Maybe we watch a playoff game in Oklahoma this season. He'll come off the bench. He'll hit 5 threes, and people can replay this conversation and say, McGarry's a dummy. They should have kept McCain. But to me, they just traded a reserve guard, basically, who struggles defensively and is always hurt and isn't really a coach's favorite. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Yeah, well, and by the way, you're saying most nights Maxey's the best player. Slowly, it looks like Joel Embiid is retaking that mantle over.
His ability on offense, look, I've seen a lot of basketball in my life. His ability on the offensive end of the floor, his shooting touch for a 7'2" big man is remarkable. I don't think I've ever seen a 7'2" guy with the soft sort of touch that he's able to have. If he can keep playing like that, Mike, he walks out there, he's basically 30 points now every night. Defensively, he's starting to move a bit better. He's not what he was defensively a couple of years ago as far as being a rim protector, but he's not bad. Look, the only question is, can this guy stay healthy and play?
Well, Mike, the article in the New York Post the other day, he's suggesting that he doesn't think that he will be 100% at all this year, that next year will be the year that he feels like he'll feel. If that's the case, people were saying he should retire. They sound like idiots.
Look, absolutely, and it's been a long road back for Embiid. And look, give him credit for sort of persevering through that. There was a lot of times where it seemed to be one challenge after another kind of put down in front of him. And again, you wonder sometimes how much can a guy take before he decides, look, we just discussed Landon Dickerson, right? And Lane Johnson. Two guys have been beat up over the years. Just so much time before your body decides, no mas, I can't take it anymore. But Embiid clearly is not at that stage. And look, the Sixers, again, it's a wide open Eastern Conference. I don't know what the Eastern Conference is going to look like next year. Tatum's going to be back in Boston. There'll be moves here and there. Giannis is going to be traded. Maybe he'll be traded to an Eastern Conference team. But the Eastern Conference, as it stands on February 9th today, is wide open. And one of those teams that has the ability to win it is the Philadelphia 76ers. And maybe it's a backup center on the buyout market they get that puts them over the top. Maybe it's another defender. I don't know. But you have the talent to sort of win it. The only question, again, is can Embiid stay healthy and hold up to that playoff grind?
Well, to go 3-1 right now on this West Coast trip, they play tonight against Portland. If they win tonight and go 4-1 on this West Coast trip, that's a pretty good sign. And Paul George, of course, is out. We'll see him hopefully somewhere down the line. Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City. Thanks for jumping into a different time today, bud.
No problem. Enjoyed it. We'll see you guys down the road.
All right, there's Mike. We appreciate him as he jumped on the YouTube stream here on the Sports Bash Live on 97.3 ESPN, the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel. You can watch the show live every day. Go to youtube.com, and in the search bar at the top, just type in 973 ESPN or the Sports Bash, and the show will pop up. You can watch it live each and every day on the YouTube channel, on the X platform. When we come back, Football at 4 is here. What does Jeff Mosher think about everything that's going on with the Eagles now that the season is officially over? He'll join us for Football at 4 on the other side. This hour of the show, we want to thank our friends at Broadlee's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning, your trusted source for heating, plumbing, service, and installation. Call 609-390-3907, online broadlees.net. And in the next hour, we'll also check in on the Whitehorse RV text board at 609-403-0973. We got the Unsportsmanlike Moment of the Day. We got the Nuggets and more. It's all coming up still live at the Fanatic Sportsbook.
It's Sixers Blazers.
Tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
5 on the clock, back to VJ. He's got to shoot it. 3 on route. Ball game. VJ Edgecombe punctuates the dome. He knocks it in for 3.
It's Sixers basketball. Tonight, coverage begins at 10 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
In 2026, Moppert Brothers at Northfield celebrates an incredible milestone. 50 years of repairing vehicles back to factory specifications after an accident. Family owned and operated for 5 decades, they take pride in doing things the right way, with the owners on site and involved every day. They're manufacturer certified by Mercedes-Benz, BMW, Ford, Tesla, and Polestar. Their technicians are expertly trained and use state-of-the-art equipment. Moppert Brothers at Northfield. 50 years of trust. 50 years of quality.
home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers.
Oh, baby.
And Flyers.
He scored!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
And Football at 4 is powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. It is brought to you by the Fanatic Sportsbook here at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. It's our final show at Ocean this season, and we will be back next season for the football season. But the Super Bowl last night, that means it's our final Monday here for the 2025 football season, which is in the books. But the Football at 4 rolls on as we focus now on the offseason for the Philadelphia Eagles. It is officially here. Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast and PhillyVoice.com is back with us. We missed you last week. We did try to get Moshe on one of the days during Radio Row, but Adam was great. Greg Cosell stepped in and did a fantastic job as part of our Football at 4 roundtable. The one day we had Brian Hoyer, who was really, really insightful and good. It's good to have you back, though, Moshe. What's up, man?
What's up, man? How long has it been since you've been in your studio?
Right,
Quite a while,
on the road again. And then Thursday I'm leaving for Egypt. I'm out of here.
Egypt? My gosh. You're a traveling man.
Well, after the Super Bowl, you need to recharge the battery a little bit to get ready for the offseason because the Sixers are on the All-Star break and the Flyers are on the Olympic break here. So there's not a whole heck of a lot going on. But there is a lot with the Eagles last week. First off, I want to get your perspective on the Jeff Garcia story, which I found very interesting here because there is a lot into it. If you listen to the Garcia interview, he actually had some very insightful things to say about Hurts and some of the things that he would like to work on with Hurts. Now, he tells me that he has called Nick and offered to coach, and he doesn't like the way it's been handled. He then re-offered to the conversation a second time that he has offered and called Howie and Nick and never heard anything back. You write the article at Philly Voice about this, so it obviously caught your attention. Like, oh, this is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The Eagles, did they then reach out to you and say, this is a great story, Jeff? However, that never happened.
Right. Yeah, so that did happen like that. First of all, I watched the interview. It was a great interview you guys did. He was very energetic. I remember texting either you or Kaplan that maybe Jeff needs to switch to decaf because, he starts off how do you start the like, yeah, Garcia 7, yeah. And I'm like, what's going on with this guy? But, I wanted to watch the video, Mike, along with it because I wanted to make sure when in those 2 times you referenced that he mentioned he'd like to help, that he wasn't just saying it tongue in cheek or, sometimes you can tell by a look on someone's face if they're kidding or not. He was smiling, but he seemed serious about it. And then when he repeated it twice, I thought, well, this is an interesting story. He's offering to help out. Now,
well, and he also, not only did he offer the information, he said he didn't like the way that it's been handled.
Right.
So that's not tongue-in-cheek, him saying it's not like the way it's been handled. That's him saying, I've offered, and they haven't reciprocated.
Yeah, and so, right, that struck me as odd. And here's where I failed as a journalist, and I'll admit when I make a mistake. When I wrote that story, anytime I'm still old school. I mean, I know a lot of people do it differently, but anytime someone levies an accusation against someone else, you should get the other side of the story. And I was going to reach out to the Eagles to let them know I was writing this and get their response and why they wouldn't talk to Jeff or just verify that this has happened, but I didn't. So that's on me. I fell into the microwave journalism aggregation mold, and I was really upset with myself when I did get a text from a spokesperson from the Eagle. And by the way, I thought about it. The reason why I didn't was because all the Jeff Stoutland stuff was going on, and I thought there's no way they're going to give 2 you-know-whats about what Jeff Garcia says on a day where they're getting slammed for the Jeff Stoutland stuff. But that doesn't matter. I should have reached out. They texted me. I got a text from a spokesperson from the organization, which is good, which means they're reading our stuff and listening to your interviews and things. And they said, hey, can you please present to us our side of the story here, and our side is Howie or Nick have no recollection of Jeff reaching out to them at all, and in any capacity about a job or to helping out Sean Mannion. And I responded that, yes, absolutely. I would revise and update the story, which I did. It reflected their side of the story. And again, for people listening, like, I take full responsibility. I know it's not that big of a deal, but it is to me. Because nowadays you can just update or revise. The old days, newspapers, you couldn't. You'd issue correction or you would just rewrite a story. But I should have gotten their side of the story before I went and published the story. But nonetheless, we got it in there, and they have no idea what Jeff was talking about if you ask them.
Okay, so that being said, Garcia did offer that he thought he could get more out of Jalen Hurts, and he offered that he's missing the first read. And that is one of the things we've constantly talked about with him, is that there are plays to be made, and it seems that he misses a lot, and it's usually these short, intermediate things that it's just him saying, you know what, I'll live to fight another down, dump it to you, let you kind of run off. I thought that was a very informative observation by Garcia of what he would try to get out of Jalen Hurts. Would you concur?
Yeah, I mean, I would call that confirmation bias, right? I mean, this is something that we've talked about on Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell, that other quarterbacks who watch tape talk about all the time. It's not any kind of suggestion that he's a bad quarterback or not one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, but that there are plays left on the field that could be made that would make it easier on him and the offense if he did it. But the one thing where I would counter what Jeff said is that Jeff is sort of implying without saying it that this can be coached into him. And I would say that would be an implication that, you know, a guy like, whether it's Scott Loeffler or Kevin Patullo or Kellen Moore or Brian Johnson, you know, I mean, it almost insinuates that those guys either didn't do it or didn't do a good enough job, and Jeff could. Now, Jeff played the position, and you can relate when you play the position a little bit more. So, I mean, Scott Loeffler played the position, but obviously not, you know, high-level NFL. But I don't think this is something that the Eagles have not worked with Jalen on.
Inside the Birds podcast, football at 4, phillyvoice.com. All right, so let's look at some of the things that happened now that the dust has settled. Super Bowl's here. A.J. Brown last week on the Micah Parsons podcast seemed pretty open and happy with the situation. And did it feel like he is ready to move on from this season and focus on the next season ahead? Are you buying that A.J. Brown seems pretty content and happy to remain here in Philly?
I mean, he certainly took the high road in a way that he doesn't normally do when he's wearing the Eagles jersey, which is a little strange.
I will offer, Jeff, real fast, that Scott Grayson was with us all week, as he always is. He did ask AJ for a comment, and he declined. He said, I am not doing any media. So he would not answer questions to the local media, more so, hey, I got a player here. I know I'm not going to get grilled.
Right. That interview, I don't know if you watched the entire podcast. It was pretty funny because AJ didn't talk a whole lot, and he kind of like he had humorous things to say about Micah Parsons and Bryce Young, which was pretty funny. But I would say I've seen this situation with players, Eagles and non-Eagles, occur way too much, where the organization and the player agree to play nice with each other while they work things out, and sometimes working things out means facilitating a trade, and the last thing that would help A.J. Brown or the Eagles facilitate that trade would be the appearance of bad blood and allowing the NFL to know that you can just have A.J. Brown because the Eagles are so desperate to get rid of him. So I don't want to make too much of it. We'll have to see what happens. I think that the decision isn't just A.J.'s, it's also the Eagles, and obviously there'll be some input with the new coaching staff too.
All right, so the new coaching staff. Today they finished up with the offensive line coach and a new run game coordinator last week. Jeff Stoutland is, of course, out there. How big of a move really is that? We talked to Cooper DeJean. We talked to Reed Blankenship. We talked to Nakobe Dean. They were all very surprised. This crosses over both sides of the ball, the impact that Stoutland had. But this could actually impact the offense moving forward. But is it a sign, Jeff, that they are ready to change the scheme and philosophy of their offense?
Absolutely. I mean, this guy, Chris Cooper, did I pronounce that right? Yeah, Chris Cooper. He comes from Minnesota. Mannion was there a couple of times as a practice squad guy mostly. And that's where Kubiak was, Clint Kubiak. And when Mannion was there, Gary Kubiak was there, and Kevin O'Connell is there now. It's all tied to the similar tree, right? The O'Connell, McVay, Shanahan, Kubiak, all that offense. So this is a guy who can come in and with 4 years of experience coaching, and it's hard right now, Mike. It is exceptionally hard in the offseason to get experienced coaches, all right? Coaches that can come in, especially position coaches. Sometimes you'll see guys come in and they were an assistant this or a wide receivers coach, and you're asking him to coach a different position. He has coached the offensive line, so he will be well-versed in how to teach the wide zone, if that's what they want to run, the outside zone that you normally see in those offenses. So that's a good thing. The drawback is, while he was the O-line coach in Minnesota, their O-line wasn't very good. It was up and down, and he wasn't retained. I mean, that's why he's available, because he's essentially fired, because when you're not renewed, when your contract's up, it means the organization wants to move on from you. So that's not ideal.
He worked with Fangio in Denver.
Yeah, but, we can't compare Cooper and Fangio. So
Absolutely. Oh, listen, absolutely.
Yeah.
Just trying to, and by the way, was a coach in Minnesota when Mannion was a player there. So there's some crossover there as well. But that, to me, is the big story.
Wait, were you saying that Cooper was with the Broncos when Fangio was the head coach there? I thought you were sort of making an analogy how Vic Fangio was available because he was fired or he wasn't renewed by the Dolphins. Okay.
No, he was on Fangio's staff in Denver. When Fangio got fired, that's why he got let go from Denver and ended up, I guess, in Minnesota or maybe Miami. He's been in Miami and Minnesota. But that being said, he has some crossover there. But that being said, I think the bigger part of this is two things. One, does it insinuate and indicate that the Eagles are saying, look, our offense is going to be different, and Jeff Stoutland was not going to get in the way of that, and we had to make a tough decision, and that's what happened there. Two, that right now the fact of the matter is that the Eagles are going to change what their offense looks like. That seems to be very apparent here. So that Stoutland wasn't going to get in the way of it if they had to make a tough decision, and they are now going to look a lot different. And Stoutland not being here, what does that mean for Lane Johnson's future and then potentially Landon Dickerson? Because Lane might say, look, he's the only offensive line coach I've ever played for. I don't need to learn a new technique from some other jabroni. And Landon Dickerson, his might be more body, but he might also say, look, my body can't handle it, and I don't want to learn a whole new scheme and everything maybe. So do you think the domino effect could be huge changes?
Let's go to the first part of your question first, because Adam Kaplan on our podcast has been very adamant about this. The Eagles did not soft fire Jeff Stoutland. Jeff Stoutland was offered to stay on the staff. He decided that he would not like to stay on the staff. So yes,
as an offensive line coach, not as the run game coordinator, correct?
We don't know exactly what position he was offered, but he was offered to be on the staff, and I imagine it would have been something offensive line relative. But yeah, he's not. He decided not to. So to your point number one, it's not necessarily showing more that they're committed to that scheme. The hiring of Coop shows you that they're committed to bringing in a new scheme, and he's well versed in that scheme. And then number two, I think that what you're asking is a very pertinent issue here. It's not just about the three guys you mentioned, but in general. If you take scheme out of it, Stoutland's greatest strength was his ability to develop all kinds of talent, to see talent in guys that others did not, to see a Jordan Mailata and say, I can mold him into a left tackle who's an upper echelon one, to see Mekhi Becton and say, I can move him to guard and he'll succeed there, right? So this new coach, he might be able to teach the scheme all right, but, I mean, it's hard to believe he'll be able to develop talent the way Jeff Stoutland has in the past. So that will be difficult. And you're right, if Lane Johnson and if Landon Dickerson both decide that this is not for them, I think if Lane's healthy, he's owed a lot of money. I mean, and most professional athletes don't want to go out that way. So without any knowledge or anything or looking into it, I would think he'd want to come back if he's working hard. It's to come back, but you never know. Landon Dickerson, you can understand if the body is just too beat up.
I thought another thing, Scott Grayson talked to Brandon Graham.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Graham sounds as if Howie will take him back, he wants to play again.
I mean, he clearly didn't want to retire. I mean, I think that was obvious by how quickly he was just waiting for the Eagles to, hit the Batman button, which they did right after Zadarius Smith quit. Week 6, week 7. So that was pretty telltale how fast Brandon came back and how well he played on such limited snaps. It's hard to when you dominate your position. It's hard to just walk away. Running backs do it. Tiki Barber did it, right? Sometimes like a linebacker like Chris Borland from the Niners. I remember he gave up pretty quick, but that's injury related. But Brandon, outside of the torn triceps, he's generally kept himself pretty healthy for the last 8 or 9 years, and you can't argue with the production.
Well, it sounds as if the Eagles are willing, he would like to come back. That was something that he told us down there. Nakobe Dean also offered that he would like to come back. He was pretty adamant about that. What are the chances of that happening in your mind?
Well, let's see what he says when he gets offered, money from other teams.
Well, he did say he was excited about the free agent process, but he definitely wants to come back. And I asked him, do you think you could coexist with the guys? And he said, we did this year. And I was like, well, you did and Bond did, but Campbell really did not. Somebody brought up an interesting point of you bring Dean back and then have Campbell and Dean take over once Bond finish, because Bond, I guess, contract will be coming up, at the end of next year.
So you bring Bond and Dean. How does that work? You still got your 3 guys, though.
Right, exactly. But basically, it's Dean and Bond this year, and then the following year, Bond would be out and Campbell replaces him.
It's hard you can do it kind of with a second-round pick, maybe, but it's hard to make a first-round pick wait 2 years because you ideally want to extend that guy if you identify him as part of your core after year 3, right? So you're only giving yourself 1 year to get that full value then out of John Campbell after drafting him in the first round.
Listen, I don't see a scenario where Nakobe Dean is back. But however, he was a pretty important player for this defense. I mean, as well as Campbell played, I think you could say that it was obvious that Vic felt that Dean was that much better, that Campbell had no role once Dean came back. And by the way, Nakobe did offer to us that he thought he was ready to play by the 3rd week.
Yeah, well, listen, how important was Milton Williams to the Eagles defense the year before and important to the Patriots defense this year? But they had a replacement plan. They have to put money in other areas. And I would think that it will be tough to let him walk, but they will, as a defense, they'll be all right.
Reed Blankenship was the other guy that we saw and talked to down there. He obviously would like to come back. Do you think there will be a big market for Blankenship?
Big one, no. But it might not take that big of a market. There wasn't a huge market for T.J. Edwards a couple of years ago when he went to the Bears, but it was still big enough that the Eagles were ready to move on, which turned out to be a mistake at the time.
Is Blankenship to you an imperative guy to bring back? I mean,
No.
Okay.
No. I mean,
they're not very deep at safety.
They're not, but it's to me, you've got Makuba coming back. They can add to the position. He's a nice player. He's done great things. He's a great story, but he is not, in my opinion, not so much of an impact player that if he's outside your budget, you change your budget for him.
So Seattle wins the Super Bowl last night, Moshe.
Yeah.
A lot of people wondering if they're here to stay. Do they have the staying power? You watch that game last night. Takeaway in terms of the distance between Philly and Seattle.
Not big at all. Seattle's got to face the same issue that the Eagles faced at this time last year. Their offensive coordinator is about to become a head coach. And you can't underestimate or understate how big of a deal it was for this team, that the Seahawks team that went 10-7 the year before, to make the move they made. Mike McDonald fired his offensive coordinator after 1 year, Ryan Grubb, and then he hired Clint Kubiak. And then, so now you got the scheme, right? This is what we're talking about with Mannion. You're getting the Shanahan scheme. Well, then you ditch Geno Smith, who doesn't play in that scheme, and you sign Sam Darnold, who just did a pretty good job the year before with the Vikings, and Kevin O'Connell's similar scheme. And so you can't underestimate how important that match is, and we'll see what they do as far as finding a new offensive coordinator. Now, they keep a lot of these guys. I mean, I think JSN, this was his second year, wasn't it? Man, he's not even going to get paid yet.
Right.
They'll probably have to pay Darnold more money, even though he's on a 2-year deal. They'll probably have to readjust that. But most of their defensive guys I believe, are under contract. So they'll be good next year. But I think if we're being fair, they're a very good team. I don't know. Like, I can't put this defense yet in those like Steel Curtain or Legion of Boom or Ravens 2000 defenses. Because, they gave up
third year, by the way, for Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Oh, this was year 3? Okay, yeah.
He's going into year 4.
He'll get paid. So they'll have to figure out a way to replace some holes. They don't have as many free agents as sometimes teams do when they win a Super Bowl, but they'll be good. But I don't think that I think the Rams-Seahawks game was the Super Bowl, right? I mean, those were really the two best teams in the NFL.
Yeah, the interesting part about them is, as you mentioned, you got Darnold, who isn't like the long-term guy. You got to figure out what you're going to do with him. And then you do have Smith and Jigba, his deal's coming up. The defensive side of the ball, they were like the Eagles last year, where they only had to rush 4 all day long, and they were able to get pressure. Is that sustainable if you're playing someone who isn't the Patriots, who seem like were arrived maybe a little bit ahead of schedule?
I mean, sometimes it's all about the matchup. You go back to the Eagles winning the Super Bowl over the Chiefs. The way they did it by dominating was really because the Chiefs had to play a guard at tackle, a short-armed guard at tackle, and Josh Sweat ate him up. And, the same thing. The Patriots, I know they played Will Campbell and drafted him at tackle all year long, but in the playoffs, he really struggled. And the Seahawks have a bunch of long-armed, long-limbed guys who gave Will Campbell and a lot of other guys on that line some issues. So I think the defense for them is there to stay, no doubt about it. But
by the way, the big name for them will be Kenneth Walker. What happens with him?
Yeah, and then running backs and Kenneth Walker had a great game, but I don't think that he's the make or break player for them. It's really about keeping that defense intact and then making sure that Darnold has the right kind of guy.
It's never a bad thing to go into your free agent year as the Super Bowl MVP.
No, not at all. unless ... you're a running back.
Possible. All right, Jeff Mosher, we have a full offseason now ready to go, locked and loaded, and the offseason will begin here quickly as free agency begins in less than a month from now. It all kind of starts to take off, and we'll see what ends up happening. The Eagles have a lot of decisions, plus the draft is on the way, and we'll be discussing it right here on Football at 4 on the Sports Bash Live. And check out Jeff's work over at phillyvoice.com. All right, man, here we go, offseason. You ready?
Oh, I've been ready. Talk to you Wednesday.
All right, man, take care. There's Jeff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, Football at 4, each and every day on the Sports Bash. And when we come back, it's another edition of Nick's Nuggets. Now, Nuggets, I wonder how he slept. I mean, he was running around like a crazy man.
He is an Energizer Bunny. I had no problems that he didn't have a problem sleeping. I think it was fine.
Let me tell you, full disclosure, Nuggets is what, like 25 years old?
Yeah, he's a whippersnapper.
26. He was asleep before me every night.
Oh, really?
Out like a light.
He's just going all day, and then the dam breaks.
So I don't know if he's a good roommate or a bad roommate. I mean, he comes home, he lays down, and he's out.
Now, but
There's
in the
no
morning, is he ready to go? He's up and at him?
He's up.
That's good.
We both get up pretty early, but like one day I got up before him. One day I was up at like 4:50, and he was up maybe 5:30. The one day he got up before me, but we were both up in like the 5 o'clock hour ready to go. He's ready to go. Like, he asked me, what time you want to get over there? I said no later than 8:30. He said, I was planning to be there by 7:30. He was ready. Me and him were the first two there every day.
Well, I mean, Schweimer's your other competition. Takes him a little bit.
Yeah, but Schweimer's old. He gets up early.
Schweimer's good. Okay.
But Nick worked. He was diligent. He was our MVP down there. There's no question about it. Now, listen, everybody had their role, but the shows that you heard on Radio Row would not have happened had Nick not been there. And that's, no knock on anybody else. That was his job, is to be the guy that it's like herding cattle down there. Hey, you see there's a big group of people walking, and you got to be able to find the person to talk to and ask, and see if you can get them over to our area. And it's not easy. You get told no a lot. Hey, Michael Irvin, can you come up? No.
Got to keep moving.
You can do the walk and talk. You want to do a walk and talk, and we're not able to do that a lot of times because we're live on the air. Now, we can do it earlier in the day, which is why we get there so early. Sometimes we'll record things ahead of time. We had a lot of stuff that we had pre-recorded. But, like Romeo Dobbs, that whole story of how we got Dobbs was pretty interesting. We'll see what the Nuggets has today. That's coming up next. The Sports Bash Live at Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City in the 5 o'clock hour. White Horse RV text board, 609-403-0973. Hit us up on the White Horse RV text board. We'll read off those in the 5 o'clock hour on the Sports Bash.
It's Sixers Blazers.
Tonight on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the Sixers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
5 on the clock, back to VJ. He's got to shoot it. 3 on route. Ball game. VJ Edgecombe punctuates the dome. He knocks it in for 3.
It's Sixers basketball. Tonight, coverage begins at 10 p.m. It's Sixers basketball all season long on South Jersey's radio home for Philadelphia 76ers basketball. 97.3 ESPN.
For over 135 years, First Bank of Sea Isle City has proudly served Cape May County with a commitment to maintaining a hometown feel. We provide secure, convenient deposit and loan products every day. We're more than just a bank. We're a trusted community partner, offering personalized banking solutions that make life easier for local families of all ages. First Bank of Sea Isle City. Look for our lighthouse in your neighborhood and discover what makes us different.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Get your game on at the Fanatic Sportsbook in the Gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, welcome back. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We're at the Fanatic Sportsbook. Don't forget, hit us up on the White Horse RV Center text board, 609-403-0973. They got a whole bunch happening here at Ocean. I know that Super Bowl was mobbed here the other night. It was a great spot to watch Super Bowl. So what's the next big event on the calendar? We got spring training coming up, and then the NCAA tournament is on the way. A little break in the basketball, All-Star weekend, and then the Flyers are not playing another game until the 23rd, I think, is the next time the Flyers actually play again. All right, time for Knicks Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. February 25th is the next time the Flyers actually play a game. All right, let's bring in Earnshaw for today's edition of Knicks Nuggets on the Sports Bash. All right, Nick, you recovered yet?
Yeah, we're back to reality. Reality slaps you in the face when you get back on the Monday after the Super Bowl. What a great time.
You did buy that quarter zip, though. I do like that.
We did get the quarter zip. We went quarter zip again. Now,
$159 or what?
Now, the quarter zip has a hood this year. The same one I got last year, they added a hood to it. So I was like, I'll still get it.
Of course, that makes the price go up, though, right? How much did you pay for that hood?
I don't even want to know. I just grabbed it. I didn't even look. I didn't even look. I budgeted a certain amount. I went under the budget. I was good. Then we were okay. But it was a great time out there, to say the least. I am pretty much recovered. Reality slapped me in the face today. I see on the YouTube chat, they're already telling me not to sob. I heard earlier you guys talking about the Philly Special documentary. I mean, come on. That didn't move you? I mean, Didinger at the end? I mean, I was unbelievable. I was thinking about the same thing when they were talking about the grandparents and how much it meant to the city. Oh, I lost. Absolutely lost.
Well, I didn't come to tears, but I thought it was very well done. I thought it was informative. I definitely thought that it was worth watching. It wasn't like, I knew a lot of this stuff. I thought it was very well done. I thought they broke it down pretty good. I love the way that they actually went through the play and that they brought the play in. They called an actual play and then called timeout because Peterson had said, I didn't like the way it looked. It just didn't feel right, so they called timeout. I thought that part of it, you almost forget that part of it, that they actually did call another play before they decided on the Philly Special, which they got wrong the name of the play.
Yeah, he called it Philly. It's Philly Special, so thank goodness they were on the same page there.
And actually another point is the coaches were coaching Trey Burton to just run the ball. They didn't really want him to throw it to Foles. They said, if you have an open lane, just run it.
Yeah,
of course,
but Foles was wide open.
Yeah.
And that's why his number should be retired because, I mean, you have iconic plays like that. I mean, that's why you retire a guy's number. It was a Super Bowl MVP, first one in the history of your franchise. You retire the guy's number. That's what you got to do. I'll never live that down. I will never, ever give up on that take. That is, I think, my best one, to be honest, ever, that I've ever had. But, no, I thought it was extremely well done, especially during, Super Bowl week, the whole nine. that coming out. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I didn't think I was going to cry. I was just enjoying it. And then the end comes, and they're talking about how much it meant to people's families and, the whole thing. I mean, I lost it. You are not human if it didn't, move you a little bit there.
It's a nice story. Definitely a nice story.
I think Gil teared up a little bit. He just doesn't want to admit it. That's what I think.
Listen, I did say that I thought it was very, very well done. Some of these things are I've already known a lot of this or whatever. That one, which there was a lot of things that, yes, you knew a lot about it, but I thought it was a very well done, mapped out. They went through each individual guy's role on the play. I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, it's very memorable play. I mean, it goes down in the Super Bowl lore now. Whenever you see Super Bowl highlights, top moments, I mean, that play is going to be in there because it was a gutsy call, time of the game, fourth down. I mean, the whole thing surrounding it. You get to hear each guy's perspective. I thought that was fantastic as well. Very well done, to say the least. I thought Josh brought up a good point. At least he learned something from it. I'm glad Josh learned that, about the restaurant, and I'm glad he enjoyed it. He called me ridiculous for crying. He did. He called me ridiculous.
I tried to watch it. Well, Josh is he's the oddest sports fan of all time. When I first started working here, he was a Ravens fan. Then he wasn't a Ravens fan. I mean, Josh doesn't care if the Eagles win or lose. He's not invested you are as a fan, or most people are as a fan.
He wants that Super Bowl championship for Lamar Jackson.
I cried.
I'm telling you, when he first started working here, he was a Ravens fan.
Wow, shots fired. Listen, I thought it was really good. I definitely enjoyed it, to say the least. But going back to Radio Row, I mean, what a week that was. What an absolute week that was. I mean, that was ridiculous.
we got to give the listeners a lot of insider nuggets on some of the stuff that happened.
Yeah, that's what I was planning on doing today. I just kind of wrote a couple of notes down, to say the least. But I thought the best one, and I think Schweiner might have talked about it yesterday, him and Alex, was when Ocho Cinco came up and bear hugged Mike Gill. That might have been the moment of the week. So,
what are they, long-lost college buddies or something?
Oh, my God. You would have thought. All right, so I'm going to set the scene here. So Ocho Cinco's coming up. Nightcap is recording their podcast right behind us. Shannon Sharp, Chad Ocho Cinco, okay? Chad Ocho Cinco is walking up. He must have saw the 97.3 logo, etc. He sees Mike. He stares right at Mike as he's walking by. He gives him the biggest bear hug, bro hug I have ever seen anyone give to anybody.
He knocked the wind out of me.
Mike was taken aback. I thought Mike had maybe known him a little bit from before. I had no idea. And what was the exact phrasing, Mike? I want to make sure I get this right, that he said to you after he gave you that bear hug.
I want the Eagles offensive coordinator job. Tell Nick to call me.
Yes. He says dead serious to Mike.
Well, what happened was he was walking towards me, and I said, "Go Birds."
Yes.
And then he came up and just hugged me with just knocked the wind out of me hug. And then he let go of me a little bit and looked at me and shook me as if I was a young son. I want to be the offensive coordinator. Tell Nick to call me.
What a goofball.
That was awesome. Then, so following his podcast recording a couple hours later, I wanted to get a question off to him. So I asked this guy, hey, can I do a walk and talk as he's leaving? He said, sure, no problem. So I asked him, why would you be a good OC, essentially, for the Eagles? And he gives me his phone number. He says, Nick, call me. My number's still the same, and gives me the full phone number. Now, I did not put out the full number on the social airwaves, on social media, etc. I cut it off. But yes, that apparently he's another one. Jeff Garcia's calling the Eagles.
Well,
Ocho Cinco's getting left on red. He's leaving voicemails.
Nick was planning on. I said, you can't put out his phone number. So when Evan Cohen he said it, but it's up to you as the journalist to now say, listen, I have to protect the guy. He made a mistake.
And I did.
And him giving you the number was a mistake by him, but it didn't diminish what he told you. That's the point.
No.
So Evan Cohen had been at our table, and his social media guy was with him.
Yeah.
So and Evan thought this was the coolest comment. He was like, wait, what happened? So we explained to him that Ocho Cinco came over bear hugged me and then gave Nick the same quote but gave the phone number out. And we asked if ESPN, if he gave the number for unsportsmanlike, would they put the, and the guy said, nah, you should probably beep the number out.
Yes. So he gave me a great idea. I got a little creative with it, add some Curb Your Enthusiasm music right after, and gave the full disclosure of, hey, we cut it off. Gave the full number and let, Nick Sirianni, I mean, he still has the same number. So I guess Nick has his number. It's still the same. Maybe give him a call. Maybe give Ocho a call. Nick,
do we even know
Coach,
if that's Ocho Cinco's real number or if he just blurted out?
That we don't know.
Randomly.
That I don't
That
know.
we don't know.
That I don't know. He was pretty quick with it, so it had to have been. He laid it out.
Maybe shoot that number a text message later on today.
So listen, it was fascinating. He's a big Birds guy. He loves the whole area. Like he's around here a lot, especially when he was doing that show with NFL Films. I know he was in the area a lot. So, but yeah, that was I think the moment of the entire week. Ocho Cinco bear hugging Mike Gill, asking to be the OC.
That was a lot of fun. Now we couldn't get Ocho Cinco to come on the show.
I tried. See, now I appreciate all the kind words for getting the guests and all, but listen, you get turned down a lot when you're out there. When you're out there trying to book guests, trying to talk to these PR people, you get turned down. So you can't take it personal. It's not like you're asking a girl out or anything. You get turned down over and over again.
What would you say your hip rate was?
I had a bad day on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? No, it might have been Thursday. One of the days I was just getting turned down left and right. Left and right. I was just like, you know what? I'm going to keep going, though. I'm not taking no for an answer. Someone's going to say yes at some point.
You got to do. Yeah, he came over and said, man, I keep getting told no. I mean, who are some of the no? Who were some of the no's?
Walk and talk. I said, no. Sit down. Walk and talk. No. We're doing a sit down, all right?
Who were some of the no's?
Well, I got the walk and talk with Irvin. I mean, geez. Well, Flacco was a no. I tried after Billy. He turned me down as well. Diana Rossini actually turned me down originally earlier in the week. Okay? Yeah. She said no, but I went back and got the yes. And she came on. She was fantastic.
Yeah, that was the next day, though.
Yes, correct. Listen, can I be honest? I don't even remember who I asked at this point. There were so many, and you're moving so fast, you don't even remember. It is such a blur at this point of who I asked, who I got turned down by. I don't even remember all the guests. I couldn't even tell you who said yes.
Now you got turned down by Chris Berman. You know what's funny?
I did.
Yeah. I got a text today about Chris Berman.
What was that?
Basically, he was saying that because I was asking Jeff.
Yeah.
Because I said, I'll text Jeff. Well, he was already gone. He got the text today and texted me back.
Yeah.
So he said, yeah, he wasn't responsible for Berman.
Yeah, that was a tough one because I tried finding Jeff, but he was nowhere to be found.
Well, I was telling Pete, one of the things, we ended up getting Romeo Dobbs, but Romeo Dobbs wasn't actually on. We got Romeo Dobbs because we were supposed to have Diamante Lenore, and Lenore this all kind of fell into place.
Yes.
That Lenore happened to not be there.
Yep.
And his agent happened to be standing next to us when Lenore was supposed to be there. We lucked out in that whole situation because Alex saw Fred Warner.
Yes.
And said to Fred Warner, hey, your teammate is supposed to be on with us in a minute here. And the agent happened to hear that and was like, wait a second, what? And he's like, yeah, Lenore's coming. He's like, no, he's not. I'm talking to him right now. He's not even here. So he happened to be the same agent for Fred Warner, Lenore, and Romeo Dobbs. So somehow it turned into, well, can we have Dobbs come over here? And he was like, I'll get you Dobbs, but you're not getting Lenore.
Yeah.
And I think it all worked out because Dobbs played for Mannions.
Yes.
So we ended up getting that story. The reason we wanted to talk to Lenore is because he played for the Niners, who beat the Eagles, and we were interested in asking Lenore about playing the Eagles' passing game.
Right. Yep. Yeah. And it's funny how all that stuff kind of shakes out. And, one guy that was just kind of standing in the middle of Radio Row, I just went up to him and he came right on. He said, however long you need me, just kick me off. Bo Allen came right on.
Bo Allen gave me a retweet yesterday, by the way.
About that?
That was good. Bo Allen was great. The other one that was pretty funny was the kerfuffle, if you will, with Donovan McNabb.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. He went we had to share tables, okay? And he was already running behind. I was texting with the lady. who was in charge of Donovan McNabb, she brought him to the wrong table at first.
Well, she brought him to the right table.
Right table, wrong station at first.
But we were sharing the table.
Yes.
So she brought him to the other half of the table.
Yeah. The other half, or a big part of the half of the table.
They essentially, so I wasn't there on Monday. I flew out Tuesday. Nick got there Monday with Scott and Billy. Well, I had spoke to this. There was a station in Albany that I know the guys that work there. They decided they weren't going to go this year. We actually got denied for a table. We did not get denied for credentials, but we got denied for a table. Well, the table is pretty necessary.
Yes.
If you're going to do the show. So the guys who worked in Albany had said to me, listen, we're not going this year. You can have our table.
Right.
The catch is you have to share it with this other station.
Like
I
many
said,
stations there.
Okay. He said, listen, I'll talk to the guy, let him know we're giving our side of the table to you. Okay, fine. So then Monday he tells me, hey, I talked to the guy. Everything's cool. I sent the guy's number to Nick. I said, hey, Nick, just reach out to the guy. Let him know you're the guy from the Atlantic City station that's going to be using Albany's table.
Yeah.
Nick says the guy was cool. Everything's cool. I'm on the flight on Tuesday. Now, luckily, I had Wi-Fi on the flight. Otherwise, this would have been a disaster.
I watched Entourage on the way in.
So Nick and Billy are texting me. Mike, this guy with the tables he's being a jerk. He's giving us a hard time.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, I thought this was all resolved.
So how did it resolve itself?
I said to Nick, I said,
called it the big man.
I was like, yeah, they're like, dude, you got to talk to this guy when you get here. So I'm like, all right, I'll talk to the guy. So when I got there, as I'm walking into the Radio Row, and I'm thinking about how am I going to handle this? What am I going to say to the guy? Nick's like, I think he's finally cooled off a little bit.
Yes, he did.
Nick keeps telling me, and Billy keeps telling me, hey, this guy's being a jerk. They're not budging, all this stuff. And I'm thinking, you're not giving me anything here. Like, what are they saying? What are they doing? No one's really responding to me. So I'm trying to think in my head, like, how am I going to approach this guy when I get here? Because these guys are telling me that the guy's being a jerk. I'm under the insinuation that these guys have already been talked to by the Albany station.
Yeah.
So in my head, I did a little research, and I noticed that last year that this station happened to be set up right across from us.
Yes.
Because I recognized their setup. I looked at the pictures from last year because I said, well, let me see what their setup looks like. Why are they taking up so much room? You're like, dude, they're taking up the whole room. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, how is this possible? Well, then you send me the picture. And I'm like, wait a second. I recognize that setup.
Yeah.
So I went to the pictures
pretty
from
big
last year, and I noticed that they were right across from us. So that when we got there, I walked up to the guy and was like, yo, you don't remember us from last year? And he was like looking at me all confused. I was like, yeah, man. We were in New Orleans together. And then, he kind of
It ended up working out. We ended up working it out. It was all good.
But
very tight. But
I will say,
we made it work.
They had this huge, elaborate setup, but they couldn't get any guests. So what ends up happening is Donovan McNabb comes over and he sits with them.
That's a bad job by them.
Yeah, and then the guy had the audacity to come up to me afterwards and say, hey, lucky for us, you guys got Donovan McNabb. I was like, are you kidding me, dude?
Yeah, that was pre-booked. We already had that before we left. He was supposed to come on.
Right, I had booked McNabb before we even left.
Yes.
And then we ended up seeing McNabb out to dinner later on.
He did. He gave us a big hug.
Yeah. And then the Barry Sanders story was hilarious.
Yes, finding the jacket, the whole nine.
Jacket. That was awesome.
That one will go down in the books.
How many times did you have to ask Cooper DeJean and Reed Blankenship people?
Can I tell you, for the listening audience out there, you're welcome. I stayed on that all day since the morning, probably since like 9 a.m. I was on that. 9 a.m. to about 3:30 when they were out of there. So they only had like 2.5 hours if they were doing interviews. I was trying to get us in We were the final ones. I had to talk to 8 different people. I was working it all day. We landed it at the final buzzer.
Yeah, they finally said, meet us at the Bounty booth.
Yep.
3:30. We actually had to take our equipment and carry it up to the
All
Bounty
the way
booth
over there. Across the entire radio row.
But it was worth it. It was fun.
It
There's a
worked
lot of
out.
other things. It's funny. Like N'Kobe Dean. That was another guy you had to keep chasing down. And then that guy was really cool.
He was awesome. Yeah. He was awesome.
And
So it was a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed all the interviews. Sometimes, you just got to stay on them. It takes a lot of work sometimes, but it worked out.
If there's an interview that stood out to you from last week, let us know. 609-403-0973 on the White Horse RV text board. We always love your feedback. Who did you like hearing from last week? What were some of your favorite moments? I mean, talking to Barry Sanders was maybe the coolest thing I've had. Like now when someone says to you, hey, who's one of the coolest, best interviews ever? Barry Sanders.
Barry.
I don't even remember what Barry said. I was just like, I'm talking to Barry Sanders.
Awesome.
Unbelievable.
All right.
Trump's
Talk to you.
Emmett Smith. By the way, how about when Emmett Smith and Jerry Rice met right in front of me?
Unbelievable. Unreal.
Check out my social media. I have the video at Mike Gill Show. That was pretty awesome. All right, more Sports Bash coming up. 97.3 ESPN. All right, the final hour of the show. It's our final hour of the year here. Every Monday we're live at the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City for the football season. Well, the football season is in the books. Seattle wins the Super Bowl over New England. Lackluster game. Not a great night in terms of the football. Seattle, boring first half, dominant, and then they kind of pull away. Got to 19-7.
Wasn't their celebration a little boring too? Right?
Well, they were probably celebrating since the first quarter.
That's true. Mike McDonald really, I don't know, man. Just very boring team.
It's hard because they're in Seattle. Let's not pretend that we watch them every single week and see them a lot. They don't play a lot of primetime games. They're out in the Pacific Northwest. That's what Sean Alexander told us last week. Sean Alexander said, look, most people just don't see them enough. He said, but this team knew it. He said they were in Washington playing the Commanders, and they were just basically dominating them. And they knew that this defense and this team was good enough. And it's one of those things where you don't see them all that much. And then they didn't have the preseason kind of hoopla behind them that kind of pushes you. Now, next year they will have that entering the season. They are the Super Bowl champions, and they will have most of their guys back. Kenneth Walker is one of their free agents, so we'll see what ends up happening with him. But that defense is back, and we'll see what ends up happening in terms of who they add and what happens to that team, and are they going to be the favorites entering next year? Sometimes you win the Super Bowl and then you're not even labeled the favorite the very next year. It goes back to Kansas City or something like that. Do you see the new Super Bowl odds for this year? Anybody?
Seattle is the favorite, right?
I thought Seattle and the Rams were tied.
I saw the Eagles were top 5 for the Super Bowl for next season. Let me see if I can pull that up real fast. As soon as football ends, man, they just took that thing right off this thing here. But, yeah, I mean, I would assume now people are going to start paying attention to them a little bit more, and that could change things for them. And then, the one thing with the NFL is your schedule changes every single year. You don't play the same schedule, so it's not like you can get into a rhythm and, some sort of, thing where, hey, we know we play this team and that team, and we're playing. You have your division games, but then everything else changes around them. So, by the way, Seattle is the favorite, plus 950. The Rams are plus 950. Buffalo plus 1,100. Philadelphia plus 1,300. The Patriots are 1,300. The Ravens are 1,300. Green Bay 1,400. The Lions are 1,400. The Chargers and the Chiefs are both 1,500. So those are the top 10 for the betting odds for next season.
And no Dallas. Dallas is not in the top 10, huh?
Let's see. Dallas 17 for San Fran. Denver 18. How about Denver all the way down at 1,800? Houston 2,000. Jacksonville 22. Bengals 25. Bears 25. Dallas is 3,500 to 1. Tampa Bay 4,000. Commanders. Pittsburgh. How about the Commanders ahead of Pittsburgh? Arizona and Miami right now are the two worst. Then the Jets, the Raiders, kind of working your way back up to the top. But, it wasn't a great game last night. The big takeaway, and keep in mind, Seattle had to play a little stretch of that game without Jackson Smith and Jigba, too. He goes out with the concussion stuff, so they didn't have him for a little bit. By that point, though, the game felt like it was already over. I think it was 9-0 at that point. And then it's 19-7, and you felt like in the Patriots, and then they throw that interception, and that kind of squashed everything. Yeah, the game just had no moment in it. It was like last year, too. I mean, the Eagles just blew the doors off them. That game never felt close last year.
No rhythm, really. A lot of punts. No, both teams were terrible on third downs.
They were talking about the kicker. My buddy kept texting me, who's going to be the MVP, and I said the kicker. And then somebody suggested that the punter should have been the MVP last night because he kept putting them back into such terrible field position. But the Seattle defense was awesome last night. But I think a little bit, the Patriots, I feel like they were a year ahead of schedule. Now, next year, they're going to be on the radar from Jump Street. So that'll be a big thing. 609-403-0973. Let's hit the White Horse RV text board. All right, empty it out. What do we got here? Because I do want to get into some Sixers stuff at the bottom of the hour. They play tonight to end the road trip out there, and there is some news around them. We didn't get to talk about Daryl Morey and what he said last week because of the Super Bowl and everything. but I want to have a couple bites that I took from him on Thursday or Friday, whatever day he spoke last week, and the Sixers ending that road trip tonight. But let's hit the White Horse RV text board and see what everybody's saying.
We got a text in here coming in from Phil from Brigantine at 609-403-0973. First says McGarry was the voice of reason earlier today. He goes on to say that, Mike, I'm not sure which contributor of the show said it, but I remember somebody told you that, A.J. Brown, his inability to separate anymore, and every catch is contested, true or not. If so, the Eagles should be interested in moving on. Great radio row last week, Phil and Brig.
Well, that point there is valid. Is he the same player, the same explosion, the same speed, the same everything? No, he's not. But how big of a decline is it? Is it a decline so much that you're willing to move on from him? Or is it a decline where you say, listen, he may have declined, but he's definitely better than whatever other options we have? And that's where the Eagles scouts and everything have to make that decision. Appreciate the kind words on the radio row. Listen, the A.J. Brown story is going to linger for a little while here. I mean, up to possibly through the draft.
More text on A.J. Brown coming in. Steve in EHT says, I don't think A.J. Brown will be back either. Frankly, I don't want him back. I'm over his temper tantrums. He had 100 yards for 4 straight games. We lost almost every single game. We didn't hear a word from him, yet we win, and the world is ending.
Listen, he's a wide receiver. That's what you're getting, right? For the moment, now you say, well, Devontae Smith doesn't do that. A.J. Brown has been a huge part of this team's success over the last 4 seasons. He wasn't here that first year that Nick Sirianni's here, but when they got him, everything changed. So they have to balance when is the right time to move on from him, and is enough right now? I know, listen, for the people who listen to the show, I don't have much care in the world about anything, right? But, things go on. Whatever your beliefs are, your beliefs. I don't really care what you believe in, who you support, what you don't support, anything like that. I just don't care. Doesn't move me any way or the other. That's what's happened with A.J. Brown here. A.J. Brown has become a political debate. There's half the people want him back and the other half don't. Just because you're on the half side that wants him back doesn't mean the other side is wrong, and vice versa. There's no right answer here. The Eagles hold the key. Some people think it's time to move on. He's blah, 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 blah. I'm not saying you're wrong. There are times when he's annoying. There's times where you're frustrated. There's times where you're ready to move on. But then there's the other times where A.J. Brown is pretty darn good to have on your team.
I think the problem with the A.J. Brown debate, before we get to more text on the White Horse RV text board at 609-403-0973, the problem with the A.J. Brown debate is, like you said, though, it's the fact that you have two sides of the debate, and neither side fully wants to, shall I use the Roman Reigns term, acknowledge the other side. It might have a point.
Like most things, when there's a separation in when there is a separation in seeing eye to eye, generally a separation in seeing eye to eye is because you don't have enough information or facts to be able to get to a middle ground. And you are fighting for one side completely ignorant of what the other side is thinking, and you only believe that your side is right. There is no, you know what? Both ends of this. A.J. Brown is a pain in the ass. But A.J. Brown is also really good.
Right, both can be
things
true.
can be true. And generally, both things are true in many of these disagreements. A.J. Brown, yes, can be a pain in the ass. Yes, A.J. Brown is very good. The question needs to be, is A.J. Brown still good enough for him to be a pain in the ass? Or has his skills diminished to the point where him being a pain in the ass is now a bigger deal?
More text coming on A.J. Brown. Rico chimes in the White Horse RV text board at 609-403-0973. Says, Mike, A.J.'s been coached by his agent not to complain to the media anymore because it might turn off potential suitors.
Yeah, stay off social media.
It's possible. I mean, that's not a bad thing, right? I mean, if his agent's telling him to keep his mouth shut, he's not wrong.
Maybe we'll get more for him that way.
Yeah, maybe. Listen, I think everybody's always willing to take on the guy who's the pain in the ass that they perceive to have talent if they think that the talent outweighs the pain in the ass. The Eagles are the team, though, that has the most information. of whether the talent is still the same and whether or not we can handle you being a pain in the ass. Only they know if both things could coexist or not.
And I think it goes back to what AJ told Micah Parsons, which we think is fraudulent about KP. I mean, I think AJ hated that offense.
He definitively hated that offense.
Yes, so he should be happy.
Then he tells us, say,
Happier.
KP did a great job.
Right.
I love his heart, he said. Yeah, whatever.
I can see, though, like, there are people that you want to, like, I don't doubt that he likes to keep KP and wishes that he could do a better job. And he's probably like, man, I really wanted to like this guy. Unfortunately, I like him, but he didn't do a good job. You know?
Yeah.
Just because he didn't do a good job doesn't mean he dislikes the guy.
Yeah, but it feels like it was going over the top. You know what I mean?
Maybe. I mean, what did he say? He has a good heart or whatever. I think that's his way of saying, look, man, I really like you. I wish it worked out, but unfortunately, I got to agree. The change is okay in this situation.
Didn't have to say he did a great job. That was ridiculous. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in the White Horse RV text board at 609-403-0997, which is, he says, I heard that San Francisco is 3 times more expensive than past Radio Rows. Could that have possibly be keeping some media away this year, Mike Gill? Says Jeff from Ocean City.
I don't think it kept the media away as much as by the way, there was 6,000 credentialed media there. They didn't keep anybody away. I would say San Francisco is definitely more Vegas. I didn't go out in Vegas, so I don't know, but I hear Vegas is pretty expensive. Put it this way. We had a restaurant right next door to our hotel. I got an IPA. It was $11. That's
egregious.
That's a little bit more than I'm used to paying for an IPA.
Now,
usually it's in the $8 to $9 range. Some places it's about $7, but at the particular place that was next to our hotel, it was $11.
I mean, I think the Super Bowl game itself is just a game for the elites, right? I mean, the average fan is just not going to go there.
No, because we went out, like Nick and I went to dinner one night, the two of us, and the bill for two of us, he got a burger, and I don't even remember what I got. A burger or something, or some sort of sandwich. We both got fries, and we shared an appetizer. Neither one of us got a beer. I think it was $89 for the two of us for 2 burgers, French fries, and like a water.
No alcohol. Yep.
No alcohol, right. No beer, nothing.
That's a yikes.
Yeah, I want to say the burger was in like the $23 to $5 range. No, and it wasn't like we were at we were at like a Mel's Drive-In. It was like a diner. Like a 50s themed diner.
Right.
Like it just happened to be next door to our hotel. It was expensive. San Francisco is notoriously expensive, though.
Yeah,
whereas
it's always
last year
been expensive.
In New Orleans, we went out and got pizza, whatever, and it was, pretty reasonably priced. I think Vegas was pretty. I hear people complain about the prices in Vegas.
Oh, speaking of Vegas, someone texted and asked, where did you stay in Vegas? Where was Radio Row in Vegas?
The media hotel was the Luxor, and the Radio Row was MGM, I think, next door. The one that's connected to the Luxor.
Gotcha.
That was one of the reasons why I never went outside and saw the Strip, is because the Luxor and MGM Grand are connected. So you could walk from the Luxor to the Grand
right,
and
never
go
leave.
outside.
Right.
And as I said, we get to Radio Row. We usually get there by like 8 o'clock in the morning. And then we're there from 8 in the morning until the show ends.
Right.
And then after the show's over, we are generally still at Radio Row for about 2 hours after the show is over. So most of the days we don't even get out of there until 2 hours after the show is over, if not longer, because you got to keep in mind the time change. There's still a lot of people walking around that you are trying to book either to record or for the next day. So it's not like, hey, show's over, it's time to go party. That's not how it really works.
Well, it's definitely not how it works for
Although
most
if people say, hey, listen, I thought your interview sucked, I don't want to hear any of these guys anymore, maybe we can go out and party when the show's over, not worry about finding all these interviews.
Right. You're going out there for the listener, not for you.
Correct.
Well, for you, but mostly for the listener.
No, for the listener, not for me.
Well, I'm saying the experience for you to be out there, You know, you're not going to interview
It's
Barry
all
Sanders.
encompassing.
Right. You're not going to shake Barry Sanders' hand every day.
Nope, and nowhere would I ever expect that Barry Sanders would be there. He
Right.
doesn't do a lot of media.
It wasn't like Mike went out there being like Barry Sanders is on the list of people that got emailed.
No, Barry doesn't do a lot of media.
Period.
So that was a very rare opportunity to hear from Barry Sanders. What else we got?
Sticking with the Radio Row conversation over on the YouTube channel, Jeff at Summers Point says, "Hey, I'm glad you checked out the Golden Gate Tap House. How'd you like it, Gil? There's over 100 different brews. Figured to be a spot you would like," says Jeff at Summers Point.
It was cool. The food was just okay. I wouldn't say it was great. It was kind of like a burger. I think I got a pulled pork sandwich there. There was a lot of beers there. So we got there, and Portnoy and Barstool with Big Cat and Gruden were doing like a thing there.
Oh, wow.
But it was on the third floor, and it was like a private event.
Mm.
So I'm thinking when we got there, they had all this signs everywhere, Barstool, blah, blah, blah. I was like, are you kidding me that Barstool's here? This place is going to be a
zoo
show. Yeah.
With all the stoolies. Yeah.
But they had emptied out by the time we got there, thankfully.
But ultimately, you were happy with the recommendation.
Yeah, no, it was a good spot. It was a cool place. Like if you wanted to go, put it this way: when we're going out to get dinner after the show, and we finally leave Radio Row, we want something quiet because we're exhausted. We're just staring at each other. Like literally, the three of us are just like, "Can we please get this food and get out of here?" Like, we're just ready to go home. And I think we were in bed. Like I said, Earnshaw went to sleep before me. I don't think I went to sleep later than 9:30.
Yeah, you guys were going out to eat like at the end of the Avengers movie when they go to the shawarma place. They're all just sitting there eating, not even talking to each other.
Yeah, it was.
You're like Tucker and I just want food.
Just we're hungry. Well, that's another thing. Radio Row doesn't offer very much to eat.
Now, did you have a late night at all?
Can we mention really quick?
Not at all.
We did like in New Orleans.
Last year we went to Bourbon Street. You know, it was past midnight. We stayed out till.
New Orleans, we went to Bourbon Street the one night, but we were moving slow.
Okay, can I just say really quick? White Horse RV text board. The number of people who texted in Hangry Mike last week was absolutely hilarious. There had to be at least 5 or 6 people because for Pete, Mike basically there was no food anywhere nearby. So many times Mike's just trying to run to the table to get these interviews started.
You know who's the food is Bounty. They bring the wings.
Right.
So all day you're waiting for that situation.
And the paper towel.
Because they have the paper towels. That's their whole stick. But the thing that was kind of a pain in the butt is the area that, like the media workroom, which is upstairs, was on the 3rd floor this year. And that was a pain to get up to the 3rd floor to come back. They usually have like muffins or yogurt or pastry or something just to kind of hold you over. And that was all the way up on the 3rd floor. So it was a pain in the ass to get up there. And then they had not the same. By the way, there's Rob Thompson on television in front of us. So they must have had some sort of availability on MLB Network right now.
Well, last year in NOLA, they had like a New Orleans spread in the convention center, right? They had like oysters. They had like jambalaya was out there. They didn't have any of that this year. Any San
No, in
Francisco
fact,
theme?
one of the things we were disappointed by was normally the Super Bowl city for the next year has like a setup there.
Right.
And the draft spot. Neither one were there this year.
Ooh, that's not cool.
Nope, nothing. We had, because you get a little pin.
Yeah.
Or a little pen or something for like the next year's Super Bowl. We could not find that.
We got another YouTube message coming in, watching at 973 ESPN on YouTube. Michael says, my takeaway from the Super Bowl is in a few years, Jim's son, Jay Harbaugh, will be an NFL head coach. For those who don't know, Jay Harbaugh is the special teams coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks.
Quite possible. What did I see last night? Somebody's son was getting getting a coaching opportunity that I was like, oh, that guy's, there's another member of that family. I don't think it was Harbaugh, though.
Clint Kubiak?
Nah, I mean, I know who Kubiak is. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know what you're referring to, but yeah, I think it's a good point by Jay Harbaugh because, like we said earlier, like you could have given the kickers and the punter the MVP and everybody would not have complained. I mean, that punter had the night of his life.
Yeah.
It changed the game. I mean, he did. Like, if you were really being like, hey, who changed the game? His ability to flip the field. And
Michael Dixon did such an amazing job that, like, the whole world now knows who the punter is. That's how well of a job he did.
Myers is a free agent, by the way.
He is. Should the Eagles sign him?
You know, that's going to be a storyline this offseason, what you do with Elliott. But Elliott is signed.
He is, but should you bring in competition?
You should. The problem is, do you want to take a cap hit for your kicker?
No.
No, but I'm sure Howie Roseman could figure it out. If anyone could figure it out.
They got bigger. They got to rebuild this offensive line. The kicker is like last on the list.
Let me ask you, Pete. Do you think Jake Elliott lost you any games this year?
Maybe one or two. Maybe one.
So you don't think that's enough for maybe to at least consider it?
No, I mean, again, they had too much on their plate now with the offensive line, the A.J. Brown stuff. They got other free agents to worry about. Kicker's last on my list.
All right, fair enough.
I do think that they should bring in some competition just to kind of let him know that, we recognize it.
Bring in competition in the offseason or kind of wait till he struggles?
No, training camp. Training camp. Yeah. Bring in. No, I don't think you're going to bring Jake Myers level kicker in. You can't have. That's the problem. You're paying Jake Elliott way too much money,
and you're going to get a guy off the street.
And if you get rid of A.J. Brown, you can't take 2 cap hits like that, right?
Yeah.
I did hear that the halftime show last night. Some people liked it and some people didn't.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was cool.
What do you know? There's half people liked something, and the half people didn't like something.
What are the odds?
What a world we live in right now.
Haters going to hate, and the other people are just going to love it, right?
And some of us just don't care either way.
It is amazing to me that anybody cared enough to even express that they either liked or did not like.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mike. There's a lot of those people.
My takeaway on this was this: like I don't even know who Bad Bunny is. By the way,
at least you didn't call him by the wrong name.
I never heard of him. The only reason I heard of him because he was in WWE.
That's why I knew
about him. He's
going to
come back too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is this going back for WrestleMania?
I had heard his name for that. I didn't know what he was in reference to. That was my takeaway. Was this? I saw people obviously giving their opinions on the halftime show, and I asked this question. I really would have liked to see if Bocelli sung at halftime.
You wouldn't understand a word that he says either, right?
Right. I mean, he would sing in a different language, but I have a feeling that most people would be more like say, "Oh, what a beautiful rendition." And there is the issue we have in the world we live in.
You
right
did get
now.
Lady Gaga though. Ricky Martin, nice cameo.
Yeah, Bocelli. Right? He would have belted out a tune.
Although Bocelli did show up for Snoop Dogg on Thanksgiving or Christmas.
Yeah.
Which one of those days it was? Snoop Dogg did a show at one of the halftimes. I think it was Christmas on Netflix.
I think the best halftime show they've done is probably U2.
U2,
and that's like years ago.
Can
Prince
you
is up there.
I said if Eddie Vedder got up there and sung, I can't understand a word that dude's saying.
Yeah. At least you know the songs, though.
See, here's the thing. I'm just going to be a total.
The music, Pete. It's the music.
It's the
music.
Right. It's the story. The storytelling of the music.
The music will move you.
The lyrics, yes.
Yeah. Well, that's why my favorite.
Bopping. If your head's a bopping, that's all it takes, right?
Yeah.
Eddie Vedder, like Kurt Cobain, when he sung, I couldn't make out anything Kurt Cobain used to say.
You know what? That would have been a good one. Kurt Cobain coming back from the dead to do the halftime show.
Sorry. All right. Well, I'm glad some people enjoyed it and some people didn't. What a world we live in. Go figure. All right, when we come back, what did Daryl Morey have to say about the trade deadline? And the Sixers won again against a good Phoenix team the other night. They're trying to wrap up a West Coast trip at 4-1. Tonight, you can listen to the game on 97.3 ESPN.
Sportsbook in the gallery at Ocean Casino Resort. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Go for the win. For more information, visit theoceanac.com.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
All right, welcome back. Sports Bash Live, 97.3 ESPN. We are at the Fanatic Sportsbook. Hey, I want to tell you a little bit about my friends over at Key Acura of Atlantic City. And if you need a new car, this is a great time to do one. Between now and February 28th, Rocco over at Key Acura can get you the new Acura ADX. Lease options starting as low as $300 a month for qualified buyers. Get the Key Acura, Tilton Road, Egg Harbor Township, online, keyacura.com. The small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details. All right, tonight the Sixers take on the Blazers.
After dark, baby.
Game.
I've been loving the West Coast trip. 10
Really?
p.m. 10 p.m. tips. Oh, yeah.
No, awesome.
A couple nights last week, we had the Flyers as your appetizer. Then you go right in the Sixers for the main course.
Last night, the 9 o'clock game wasn't bad.
That was a good one.
Yeah,
Yep.
10 o'clock is too much.
That's too late for you.
Yeah.
Well, that takes you up to past midnight, so that is tough.
Yeah, the 9 o'clock on Saturday night, I guess it was fine.
Saturday night, yeah, versus
That was
the
the
Suns.
Suns. Yeah.
They played the Suns, 9 o'clock. Tonight, 10 o'clock. I mean,
Now, you were out there. Those games, they start at 7 o'clock out there for the West Coasters. Is that a little
went
weird?
to the game.
Right. Was that a little weird for you?
Well, no, because I was there.
Right.
But the Flyers game was on at 4.
Right.
That was weird
That's
for
tough.
you.
Well, we were not really paying attention to that.
But like NFL games, those games start at, 10 in the morning out there every Sunday.
Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
Yeah.
The 1 o'clock games over there started at 10.
Yeah.
And then the 4 o'clock game started at 1.
Correct.
And then that 8 o'clock game starts about 5-ish.
Right. So the East Coasters, after the 8 o'clock game, we're going to bed.
Yep.
I mean, realistically,
West
it sounds
Coasters.
like the West Coast is made for Mike Gill, timing wise.
I liked when we were in Phoenix. Phoenix was 2 hours behind because at the time they were on Mountain Time.
Right. They don't recognize that daylight savings time.
That was good. The 2 hour time difference was a nice one. New Orleans last year was 1 hour time difference, Central Time Zone. I could do that. The Central Time Zone, you got to kick off at noon.
Yep.
So I'm like, what is this guy doing?
He's got to pay for that.
All right. So Daryl Morey last week, he ends up trading Jared McCain. Now, I want to first talk a little bit about that. And I did talk a little bit about it last week, but to set up everything here. I like McCain. I think McCain is a very good shooter. Is he a great player? That I'm not going to sit here and say they traded a great player. I think they traded a guy who was a tremendous shooter and could have been very good role as a shooter on a team that lacks shooting. We saw him in a very short spurt last year show that he could play at this level. Now, was he the best player on a bad team, or can he help a good team out? I don't know, but I think he could shoot. Oklahoma City, I think, identified a chance to steal a guy from the Sixers. They're not dumb. Oklahoma City's not dummies. They stole Isaiah Joe from the Sixers, who gave up on a guy that could shoot. And Oklahoma City said, okay, dummies, we'll take him. And he's turned into be a huge part of their team. Just because, somebody said, McGarry said this earlier, he's not a good defensive player, all that stuff. He's short. I acknowledge all that. I'm not sitting here saying Jared McCain is, the next Jason Tatum. But I think this team lacks shooting. He seemingly is a very popular player on the team.
That's the one thing I kind of can't get past is the popularity and the players after he was dealt.
And he was starting to find a niche and role on this team. Him and Embiid were starting to kind of find a little bit of cohesiveness. I don't think that people really acknowledge the fact that he had the knee injury and he was coming back from that, and then he had the thumb injury, and that threw him off. And I don't think he ever really got into a fluid spot here. So I acknowledge he was not playing very well this particular year, but I think he was starting to come around. That being said, them trading Jared McCain is not the difference between them getting out of the second round this year or doing anything different. But one of the things that Morey said was that, well, this is him explaining why they traded Jared McCain. Take a listen.
I'm quite confident we were selling high. Yeah. Obviously, time will tell. But the only other high point, and we weren't looking to sell, I'll be frank. Teams came to us with aggressive offers for him, and you could say, yeah, that's because he's a good player. I agree with that. We thought this return was above, for the future value for our franchise, what we could get. So the only higher point would have been during his run last season. But otherwise, we feel like we did time this well.
So he said we sold high on him. So he's essentially saying that we don't think much of McCain. We were getting him out of here at the time when he was playing his best right now. So in return, they get back a first-round pick, which is not a Oklahoma City first-round pick. It is a Houston first-round pick. That first-round pick is going to be somewhat insignificant, you would think. But
not according to Daryl Morey, though.
Well, he did acknowledge, though, that he thought that they could use something with that pick. Did he not?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he said in another point in the press conference that the idea was, and let me find the original bite, because I had these bites last week set up, but then Radio Row happened.
Well, he said that they made the deal with the hopes and thought of making another deal before the deadline.
Yeah, here it is.
Happen.
So this was the audio that we originally had last week, where Morey explains that the idea was, and just to summarize before we play it, that the idea was is they were acquiring assets to make other moves.
Because we're playing well, we were trying to upgrade the team and add to the team now. That was goal number one. Obviously, no deal materialized, including using the picks we got from the Jared deal. We were trying to, that's why we did that move a little early. We're trying to reuse those draft picks to add now. We do feel like this deal sets us up better in the future, but we understand that we were looking to add now, and nothing materialized.
So he thought that the picks that they got would help them bring back a player, and that did not happen.
That's a total miscalculation then.
It's a miscalculation that he traded a player that could help them win now. Now, he might have not valued McCain, so I understand that. And he's saying, well, we sold high, we got something, we thought we could do something, and if we don't, we still like what we have in return better than having Jared McCain here, is essentially what he said, right?
Yeah, and 4 picks, that I don't know what more you would want for Jared McCain. Maybe a higher pick, maybe your pick back from OKC instead of the Houston pick. But, 4 picks is pretty good for how Jared was playing.
Well, listen, they got a first-round pick in return. Now, someone would say it's not a great first-round pick. I don't know where it's going to be. But Tyrese Maxey was the 20th pick?
21st.
21st pick.
McCain himself was a late pick, right? 16 maybe?
I think it was 16, yeah.
When is the pick for? Is it for the upcoming draft?
Yeah.
Yes, 2026.
So it's this year's draft.
This year's draft.
Now gives them the potential of having 2 picks. Right?
Correct.
Well, because I know they have that Oklahoma City swap is still lingering.
Yeah,
out
it's still
I
lingering.
think they're going to
yeah.
wind up losing that probably with how they're playing.
So, right, exactly. If it falls out of the top, I don't know what protection it has.
Let me pull up the exact details.
But if you most likely the Sixers will lose that pick. So this now gives them a pick back in the first round, which they had kind of lost. So, I don't mind the return if he doesn't say we thought the return would get us something else.
Yeah, that's
like if he just said, hey, we sold high. We think we had a lot of calls for Jared. This was an opportunity that we thought could help us improve down the road. Fine. But the fact that you thought you could spin these off and get something else, not a big fan of the way that was handled.
So really quick. So the Sixers owe their first round pick to OKC this year because they got the pick last year. So now they owe it to them this year. That's according to Sixers Adam Aronson over at Philly Voice.
Yeah, because it will most likely – it's like top 4 protected or top 6 protected or top something protected.
Well,
right?
according to him, he says if the Sixers first rounder lands in the top 4, they would keep the pick and then the protection roll over to 2027. The pick doesn't end up in the top 4, then it goes to OKC.
Right,
Yeah,
so top 4 is not happening.
They're not going to be in the top 4.
Right, so then now what you're doing is when you get the pick for Jared McCain, you're replacing the pick you're losing to OKC anyway.
Right, so they're going to owe the Sixer pick to Oklahoma City.
Right.
But in return, they're getting the Houston pick, so they will now remain with a first-round pick.
And don't forget, they also got a couple second-round picks in
They
this
got
trade.
3.
Well, right, and then what's important about that is the Sixers owe their 2026 second-round pick to OKC, the Suns, or the Wizards, depending on some different variables. This has to do with the trade back in 2021.
So they'll be able then to now have 3 second-round picks in which they can try
Right,
to
so the
trade.
Jared McCain trade technically replenished your coffers.
It did. That being said, don't love it. Because, and by the way, it could be because he's at Oklahoma City. I mean, because for me, Oklahoma City's not You know Oklahoma City hasn't traded a first-round pick since 2015?
Correct.
This is the first time they traded a first-round pick, and it was to get Jared McCain.
Yeah, not Giannis.
And OKC has time to kind of wait on McCain, right? He doesn't have to play 20 minutes a game. He can play 13 minutes a game.
He came in the other
Hit a
day,
couple
played
threes.
15 minutes. He hit a three late in the game. I think it was like 4 minutes left in the game. He comes in, he hits a three, and they're just looking for him to give a spark. I just look at Philadelphia and say, this is a team that needs shooting. They lack shooting.
Did they need more from McCain, though?
Yeah, of course they did. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and pretend that McCain played well. He has not played well. But I think that had more to do with other factors outside of McCain sucks.
Like 4 guards for probably 3 spots. I mean, there's an odd man out, right? You're just not going to be able to fit in 4 guards.
Yes and no.
With the size.
I think if they trusted McCain more, he could have had a bigger role to lessen Maxi's minutes, lessen Edgecombe. Like, I think they're playing Maxi and Edgecombe too much, but that's because they didn't trust McCain enough.
By the way, there is some maybe not so good news for the Sixers that just dropped. If you are a Sixers fan, you might not like to hear this, but ESPN is reporting that Jason Tatum has just been assigned to the Maine Celtics to begin practicing.
I did just see this, and I heard Shams say the other day that it sounds as if that Tatum's going to come back and play this year.
He is. That's what Sham's saying this weekend. And don't forget they just acquired Vucevic, which is interesting because some people, like myself, looked at the Vucevic deal and was like, wow, that's actually a pretty good deal for the Celtics. But Daryl Morey, Mike, he is not impressed by any of these trades.
We like our chances in the East. We feel like we're in the mix with the top teams there. Obviously, we've got to prove that on the court. But, yeah, I'm just reiterating. Yeah, we were hoping to add, and we didn't add. But we still believe in this team. Like, it's still the team that people believed in. Folks have speculated on the improvements of our East competitors. I don't see it, personally. I think all the teams, made moves at the deadline, but there weren't any needle movers, in my opinion.
Well, the Vucevic thing, actually, Embiid has owned him over the years. I mean, he has absolutely just dominated Vucevic. Now, defensively, Vucevic is not great. That's what I'm saying. As a defensive player, he's not great. He's a little bit more trouble for Embiid on the other end of the floor.
Right.
But,
I mean, Cleveland getting Harden. I know people have a problem with Harden, but that's a good pickup for them.
That's
He's
a huge
scorer.
pickup for them.
Yeah, he's going to play great next to Mitchell. So
although,
I can't agree with more.
One of the problems the Sixers had with the Cavs is matchup issues. Do they match up better now with Harden, who's not a great defensive player?
Not a great defensive player. But, that should really – I mean, and Cleveland's – what are they? They're behind Philly right now in the standings, so maybe that puts them ahead of them. They're ahead by game and a half.
Yeah, it's close.
So maybe that puts Cleveland in the conversation of the 2 seed.
2 through 6 is like super tight.
Sixers are 6. They are a game behind Toronto. They're a game and a half behind Cleveland, and they are 2.5 behind Boston and New York. But they have separated themselves from Orlando as the play-in team. So they are firmly in a playoff spot right now, not in a play-in situation. That being said, I definitely am not thrilled with the decision to move on from McCain and get nothing to help. Now, in the buyout market, if they traded McCain and are able to save some money because they can get somebody in the buyout market, if they can get a rebounder, one of the names, Chris Boucher, Boucher is somebody that played for Nick Nurse before.
Correct.
That would be one. He's available. The other guy was Chris Middleton. I saw his name being mentioned.
I've also seen Lonzo Ball's name circulated out there.
Lonzo Ball, correct. There was one other one. Oh, Hayward Highsmith, who, ironically was here years ago. He was on the G League team and then has been bouncing around, but has kind of turned into a player in the NBA. But Brooklyn just moved on from him because they don't, they're not trying to win. There's a lot of tanking going on right now. I saw somebody the other night. Did you see this? Utah had the 3 guys. They just got Jaren Jackson. And the 3 of the guys, the Utah's winning the game in the fourth quarter.
They're leading by 7 points.
They're leading by 7 points. The 3 guys combined for 52 points. And they didn't play at all in the fourth quarter, and they ended up losing the game. And somebody had texted out or tweeted out about how bad of a problem that the tanking is becoming right now with all these high-profile players in the draft coming up.
Right.
And these teams now getting to February, and they're realizing we've come too far now. We cannot start winning games.
Right. Usually teams wait to tank, but now they're tanking in January, it seems like, right?
I think they tanked when the season started, some of these teams. Yeah, Drew Hanlon tweeted this out.
It's a bad look by the NBA.
Somebody else tweeted something out, too, about what is the NBA. Maybe it was David Aldridge talking about how bad the tanking has been this year. But Drew Hanlon tweeted this out about that particular game the other night. The Jazz are up 7 after 3 quarters. Then Jaren Jackson Jr., Lauri Markkanen, and Nurkic, who had 52 points, 26 rebounds, and 10 assists, all sat the entire fourth quarter while Orlando came back to win. They're not the only team tanking, so what's the solution to prevent it? There is no solution unless you listen to my solution.
I was going to say, you gave him a solution, but they didn't want to listen.
All right, we'll wrap up the show coming up next. Live from the Fanatic Sportsbook at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
All right, before we get out of here, don't forget my friends over at the Nizams on Route 40 in Egg Harbor Township, ready to serve you delicious Indian dishes. TheNizams.com for their menu and lunch buffet, Sundays from 11:30 to 3. They're open 7 days a week, 11:30 to 9:30. Check them out. Sports Bash Live at the Fanatic Sportsbook. It's our last show here this year. It's always a great time here. Zach and the whole Ocean team is the best. This has been an unbelievable opportunity the last, this is our third season, I think, broadcasting live from Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City at the Fanatic Sportsbook, and they always are great to us. It is, to me, and I might be biased because I'm here every Monday, but this is the coolest spot to do the show in Atlantic City.
This is the one seat for you.
Well, I mean.
Has to be.
We got 900 TVs in front of us every Monday.
Yep.
Place is awesome. Great restaurants. Awesome concerts. Right now, I don't know that there's any place in Atlantic City that puts on better concerts, shows, restaurants.
Your guy David Spade's coming here soon, right, in March?
He is coming in March. I heard that. Also, I'll be here for the Blues Traveler show. I've been to multiple concerts here. This is, to me, right now, there's no better spot in Atlantic City to watch a show, go out to dinner, make a night out. Ocean Casino Resort, UFC, seemingly every weekend there's a big match here that you can come watch. So check out the Fanatic Sportsbook. And hopefully we will be back. I believe we will actually be back again next year. I think we've already got that all signed, sealed, and delivered for the 2026 NFL season. The Eagles season is in the books. Now the off-season begins. And we, of course, will be all over it here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Make sure you watch the show. Subscribe to the 97.3 ESPN YouTube channel.